rig, man, it's time to break free. Eyes wide open, gotta see what I see. Standing on the front lines, fighting for the truth. Lift the veil of lies, it's time to be the proof. Take a stand, don't you back down. Raise your voice, let's shake the town. We're the voices that won't be ignored. Breaking chains, yeah, we're ready for war.
All right, we're back on the record in FECR 153477. Welcome back, jurors. There was a matter we had to take up this morning, so this was one of those times that I kind of warned you about, that sometimes you would show up when you were supposed to and be forced to wait, so I'm sorry for that, but that's what happened this morning. So when we left off, Detective Pope was testifying, and so you're still under oath, and the state can continue its direct examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Detective Pope, when we left off yesterday, we had just completed the discussion portion of the execution of the search warrant at the 270 15th Street Northwest address. I want to show you or ask the court to publish the photos in State's Exhibits 13A through 13GG that were taken during the execution of the search warrant or at the home. Okay?
Yes.
With the court's permission.
So published now.
Can we have the lights? Miss Alyssa's not over there. Thank you. Looking first, Detective Pope, at State's Exhibit 13A. Can you tell us what we're seeing in this photograph?
The street markers for 15th Street Northwest and Hinckley Avenue.
The address 270 15th Street Northwest, is that visible in this photograph?
No, it's not.
Okay. In relation to this photograph, are you able to tell us where that home would be located?
I think it's just southwest of that sign.
Is
across
that
the street.
Across the street from
Yes.
that? Okay. And moving on to 13B, can you tell us what we're seeing in this photograph?
That's the entry to the basement from the kitchen.
And 13C?
Going down the stairwell.
Of that same set of stairs that was seen in the previous exhibit.
Yes.
13D, what are we seeing here?
A look into the basement from the bottom of the stairs.
So from the bottom of the stairs, has the photographer or the angle just made a left?
Yes.
13E, can you tell us what we're seeing and what's significant in this photo?
This is the bedroom for Dakota Van Patten.
The bedroom, what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
For Dakota Van Patten.
13F, what are we seeing here?
Just a different angle of that same bedroom. Photographer would have stepped in and turned to the left.
And in 13G?
You can see the TV stand with the TV just at the bottom of the TV stand. There's a clear pair of eyeglasses.
Is there still a laser pointer up there?
Yes.
Will you use that on the overhead screen? It doesn't work on the TVs. And show us the glasses that you're referring to?
They're right there.
And 13H, what has happened in this photo?
It's a closer up photo of the eyeglasses.
And 13I, are we continuing to zoom in on those glasses?
Yes.
13J, it appears that a evidence marker or evidence tag has been placed next to those.
That's correct.
And once the photograph is taken with the evidence marker next to any particular piece of evidence, is it then fair game to collect the evidence?
Yes, it is.
13K, what are we seeing in this photograph?
That is the white-handled knife with a serrated edge that was located inside of the deep freeze that was in the basement.
That deep freeze that was in the basement, just to be clear, was it operational or no?
It didn't appear to be.
And that knife was also collected?
Yes, it was.
State's Exhibit 13L, can you tell us what we're seeing?
It's a storage rack. On the top shelf is the green paracord that we seized.
And 13M?
It's a closer up photo of the paracord.
Earlier when I asked you about, I should say yesterday, when I asked you about the fraying on the end of the paracord or the rope, whatever we're calling this, after having now seen again 13M, are you able to confirm whether or not one of the ends of this rope or cord have been cut and frayed?
Yes.
And is that this area here?
Yes, it is.
If I remember your testimony correctly from yesterday, you said that this rope drew your attention to it because it was same color and style of the rope found in Mr. Louisma's trunk?
That's correct.
(13N), though blurry, was this a photo attempting to get the rope and the evidence tag in the same photo?
Yes, it is.
And was that rope also collected?
Yes.
13O, can you tell us what we're seeing and where we're seeing it?
We're back in Dakota Van Patten's bedroom. Those are the gray shoes, Nike shoes that were consistent with the shoes worn in the Quick Start video by Dakota Van Patten.
And when you say they were consistent, were you, in doing this search warrant, under the impression or of the belief that these were the shoes that he was wearing?
Yes.
(13P), tell us what we're seeing in this photograph.
Those are the dark gray sweatpants that were believed to be worn by Dakota Van Patten in the Quick Start video.
And 13Q?
The dark green Under Armour hooded sweatshirt, also believed to be worn by Dakota Van Patten at Quick Start.
Yesterday, when we discussed the logo on the sweatshirt that you said was both visible on the actual sweatshirt and in the surveillance video, was that this big gray square with the Under Armour logo in the middle of it?
Yes.
And it's your position that this large logo in the middle of this sweatshirt is visible on later discovered or earlier discovered surveillance video?
That's correct.
13R, we're just zooming in on that same sweatshirt.
Yes.
The location, just for the record, of where this sweatshirt was found, I know yesterday you testified that you weren't the one specifically who located this sweatshirt during the search warrant, but what was the location written on the evidence tag, if you can see that?
It reads basement laundry basket in front of dryer, and then it indicates the sweatshirt was inside out.
Thank you. 13S, tell us what we're seeing here.
That's the front door of the residence, and that is a piece of the green paracord that's basically making up the front door handle or doorknob.
And that rope that's in the door knob hole, would you agree, is also consistent with the rope cord that was found in the basement?
Yes, it is.
What are we seeing in 13T?
That's a photo of the machete that was located under the bed in Dustin Prince and Kendrick Gallegos' bedroom.
And the photograph taken in 13T, is this photograph being taken of that machete in its original location where it was found?
Yes, it is.
(13U), what are we seeing in this photo?
It's a black storage case. In the top of that case, you can see a small semi-automatic pistol.
And to the right, would this be like a holster?
Yes.
In this box, does that appear to be some ammunition?
Yes, it does.
Is this the locked container that you testified about yesterday?
Yes, it is.
And if I understood yesterday, you mentioned that when this container was found, it was actually in its locked position.
That's correct.
Do you have knowledge on how investigators were able to get this opened?
Sergeant Abel of the Lynn County Sheriff's Office was able to pick the padlock that was latched on the box.
And 13V, what are we seeing here?
Those items, the semi-automatic pistol, holster, magazine, and ammunition that were located inside of the black storage box.
So at that point, that locked container had been emptied out.
That's correct.
13W, can you tell us what we're focusing on in this photograph?
That's the entry door to Dustin and Kendra's bedroom.
And 13X?
That's a photo of Dustin and Kendra's bedroom from the end of the bed, showing the side of the bed that Dustin would have slept on.
In this photo, are you able to describe for us or point us in the direction where that locked container had been located?
I actually didn't search this room, so I think Sergeant Abel did, so I'm not able to do that.
The machete that was found was under this bed, though.
That's correct.
And in states Y, is this the deep freezer where that white-handled serrated knife was located?
Yes, it is.
13Z, the brown rectangular cubed object in the center of this photograph, is that the foot locker that you discussed yesterday?
Yes, it is.
13AA, What are we seeing in this photograph?
It's a photo from in front of the washer and dryer, just facing the south, and that's a storage closet there with the door open.
So the back of the photographer is up against or towards the washer and dryer?
That's correct.
This wired cabinet or shelf seen on the right side of the photo, is this the shelf where that paracord was found?
Yes.
And then to the left is the storage unit that you were referencing?
Yes.
From this vantage point, where are the stairs that came out of the kitchen?
To the right, approximately 45 degrees.
So off screen, but over here?
Correct.
Okay. 13BB, is this the inside of that footlocker?
Yes, it is.
And the firearm that was located in here, is that the revolver that you noted yesterday?
Yes, it is.
13CC, are we still in that same footlocker?
Yes.
And what is the focal point of this photograph?
The knife and the black sheath.
13DD, are we still in the footlocker?
Yes.
And what are we focusing on here?
That butterfly style knife.
Under the butterfly styled knife, there's a sheathed knife as well. Is that the same sheathed knife that we saw in the previous photo?
No, it's not.
So this is an additional knife.
Correct.
EE appears to be back in the brother's bedroom. Would you agree?
Yes, it does.
And the object that we're focusing on in this photo is what?
The machete as it was found under the bed.
F 13FF. What are we seeing in this photo?
It's a title to a vehicle belonging to Dustin Prince that was located inside the black lockbox to kind of show ownership of whose black box it was.
So as far as items located within that locked black container, was this the only piece of identifying information?
I believe so, yes.
So his car title, his bedroom,
Yes.
his gun.
Yes.
Objection. That last part, that's speculation.
The objection is sustained. The jury will disregard the last answer.
Thank you.
13GG, yesterday when we were quickly looking through the photographs, I had mentioned or asked you the question as to whether or not everything that was seen in that reel of photos was collected during the search warrant, and you specifically said not 13GG, correct?
That's correct.
Can you tell us under what conditions or what circumstances 13GG was photographed and collected?
It was photographed upon making contact with Dakota Van Patten before he went to the Marion Police Department for the interview. It's the gun that he advised us was sitting on the couch before we entered.
And when you say it's a gun, was this a replica of a gun or is this a real firearm? What is this?
It's a replica of a 6-hour 1911 style pistol. However, it's a BB gun or an airsoft gun.
Or an airsoft gun?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it takes.
Okay, but you can say that this does not fire bullets.
That's correct.
Will you clear my screen, Your Honor? While I'm getting my technology together, can you tell us, Detective Pope, If, as part of your investigation, you had an opportunity to review surveillance video that was obtained of the defendant's vehicle around the 17th and 18th of February.
Yes.
If you'll just bear with me one moment here. Can you tell us what type of camera footage you were able to view?
There are traffic cameras throughout the city of Cedar Rapids.
And was this footage something that was provided to you, or was it something that you yourself collected and obtained?
It was provided to me by the Cedar Rapids Police Department.
Once the footage was provided, did you have an opportunity to review it?
Yes.
And did you find information on all of that camera footage that you thought was important to your investigation?
Yes.
Can you recall the date that you reviewed that footage when you obtained it?
I cannot.
If you wrote in your police report that you reviewed it on April 18th, is there any reason to believe that's not the correct date?
No, there's not.
Generally, can you explain what you found in the files that you received from Cedar Rapids Police Department?
On the evening of the 17th, we were able to locate the 2006 blue Honda Civic owned by the defendant, initially on camera at C Avenue and Collins Road. It turns to the east onto Collins Road and continues on Collins Road into Marion, down Collins Road where there are no more cameras.
Just to interject a question, you mentioned that this vehicle was a Honda Civic. Was it in fact a Honda Accord?
Oh, yes, that's correct.
Okay, so the blue Honda Accord.
That's correct.
If you were, well, let me ask this. When you were delivered the camera footage, did it come in multiple folders that contained separate video clips of cameras throughout specific areas?
Yes, it did.
And can you recall off the top of your head what those 5 separate folders were titled?
Collins Road, Edgewood Road Northwest, Edgewood Road Southwest, Blair's Ferry, and I can't recall the last one.
Collins Road, Edgewood Southwest, Edgewood Northwest, Collins Northeast, and Blair's Ferry?
Yes, I forgot that there was 2 Collins.
Okay. And if you were able to view a map of the Cedar Rapids, Marion, Hiawatha area, would it help you demonstrate or show us where approximately these cameras are located?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state offers 3 exhibits. 1A being a map, State's Exhibit 3 being a map, and State's Exhibit 14.
Any objection to 1A, 3, or 14?
No, Your Honor.
1A, 3, and 14 are each admitted.
With the court's permission, I would like to make a brief record on 14.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, 14 is being submitted as a thumb drive. Contained within the thumb drive are 5 separate and individual folders. Folders labeled 1, Collins Road, 2, Edgewood Road Southwest, 3, Edgewood Road Northwest, 4, Collins Road Northeast, 5, Blair's Ferry. And then within each folder are individual clips. As the state publishes those, I will identify the clips within the folders. Looking first at State's Exhibit 1A, or may I have permission to publish State's Exhibit 1A, Your Honor?
One A is published now.
Thank you. Investigator Pope, this is a map that you've seen before, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when you're looking at the map in State's Exhibits 1A, can you show us approximately the location of the first set of camera clips that are found in the folder labeled Collins Road?
I can try. It's pretty small from...
Let me zoom in just a little bit and see if that'll help, okay?
Yes.
Does that help some? Is that easier on you?
Yes.
Show us where we need to be looking. And if I'm seeing what you're doing, you're pointing at the intersection of C Avenue Northeast and Collins Road Northeast.
That's correct.
During the evening hours between approximately 11:17 and 11:20, which direction did these cameras capture the defendant's vehicle traveling?
To the east.
And so that would be to the right.
That's correct.
To give us some perspective on this map, this Collins Road, would you agree, turns into Highway 100?
Yes.
Starts west as Highway 100, transforms into Collins Road, and then the closer you get to Marion, goes back to Highway 100.
That's correct.
Okay. To give us some perspective, this address that's marked just off of Highway 100, 1240 South 12th Street in Marion, whose address is that?
Melody Hoffmanin.
Up here at the top of the screen, this 690 Bentley Drive, is that Taya's address?
Yes, it is.
So between 11:17 and 11:20-ish, cameras captured the defendant's car traveling eastbound on Collins Road towards 100 or Collins Road /100?
Yes.
Okay. The next set of clips that you obtained would have been in the Edgewood Road Southwest area. Is that correct?
That's correct.
For whatever reason, this area of the map doesn't like me zooming in and it turns it white, so bear with me here, okay?
Okay.
The camera footage that was captured on the Edgewood Road Southwest folder, can you give us approximately the time range in which the defendant's vehicle was spotted on cameras in that area?
I think it's close to around 3:15 in the morning, but I'm not sure of the exact time.
If you had an opportunity to review your report, would it help you give us the range?
Yes.
Do you have your report up there with you?
I do not.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
My report indicates the first sighting of it on Edgewood Road Southwest was 2:56 and 57 seconds in the morning.
And what was the range that in that folder we're going to see that vehicle?
From 2:56:57 to 3:01:42 a.m.
Thank you. And just to be clear, Detective Pope, the clips that are contained within the folders, the file numbers or file names that came over marked, did those file names include timestamps within them?
Yes.
Okay. The first camera that caught the defendant's vehicle at approximately 2:56 in the morning in the Edgewood Road Southwest area, can you recall what street that captured?
Beverly Southwest.
And in looking at this map, are you able to see Beverly Road Southwest?
Yes.
And can you use your laser pointer and show us where we should be looking? That's Edgewood Road Southwest. I'm looking for Beverly.
Beverly's right here and it connects.
Okay. So Beverly goes down and connects to Edgewood?
Yes.
Would you agree that Highway 151 turns or connects to Beverly Road there?
Yes.
If you follow Highway 151 southwest, where does Highway 151 lead you?
Initially into Walford. If you continue southwest, I believe it takes you to Amana colonies.
Right to the Lily Pond area?
Yes.
The folders that are included in those clips that you reviewed, do they follow a path north up Edgewood Road
Yes.
before connecting back onto what road?
Collins.
Collins, which would be Highway 100 turning into Collins. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then what's the final folder that you received?
Blair's Ferry at C Avenue. You can see the vehicle turning onto Blair's Ferry westbound from C Avenue.
If Beverly is this west to east road that hits Edgewood, can you, using your laser pointer, I appreciate your patience. Can you walk us or show us the path in which those cameras captured the defendant's vehicle?
Yes. So initially the vehicle is seen going northbound through the intersection at Beverly and continues northbound on Edgewood. And then we're unable to see it on the Collins Northeast as there was a problem with the file. At least on Edgewood, we weren't able to follow it from the river north. However, we were then able to pick it back up on Collins Road, where it actually turns off on F Avenue, which I believe is right here, but ultimately is last seen at this intersection, turning westbound.
And what is that intersection?
C Avenue and Blair's Ferry Road.
Not looking for specific times, but approximately what time of night is that vehicle last seen on the traffic cameras in that area?
I believe that's closer to 3:15 a.m.
And to be clear, was the defendant then later picked up on surveillance video at a local gas station?
Yes.
A couple minutes later?
Yes.
And are you able to tell from this map approximately where that local gas station is, if this is the last intersection traffic cameras caught the defendant?
Yes, it's the red dot marked 1001 Blair's Ferry Road Northeast.
Right here.
Yes.
Okay. So, may I continue to publish admitted exhibits, Your Honor?
You may.
Opening first the Collins Road folder and going to publish the first file labeled 2/17/2024, 11/17/01. Investigator Pope, work me through this title of this file first. 2/17/2024, is that the date?
Yes, it is.
11/17/01, is that the time?
Yes,
PM indicating that it's time in PM.
that's correct.
And counsel, if you would identify, this is Exhibit 14.
Yes, it is, Judge.
Thank you.
I'm going to pause the video or that clip 5 seconds into that video. Investigator Pope, can you identify at this point whether or not you're able to see the defendant's vehicle?
Yes.
Can you point it out for us? Bottom right-hand corner.
Yes, it's this vehicle right here.
And this intersection is the intersection where?
Of C Avenue and Collins Road.
And can you tell us which is which?
This is Collins Road and this is C Avenue.
When the light turned green, what happens with the defendant's vehicle?
It turns left, eastbound on Collins Road.
Let me identify the next clip. Give me 1 second. Next clip, same date, timestamped 11/17/55.
Yes.
Keep hitting stop instead of pause. At approximately 1 second into this video, would you agree there's a vehicle seen?
Yes.
And is that the defendant's vehicle?
Yes, it is.
Can you tell us where we're seeing this, what camera this is?
This is Collins Road. The car is traveling on Collins Road. The yellow area here is Northland Drive.
Still going eastbound
Yes,
towards Melody's apartment.
that's correct.
Third clip, timestamped 11/18/00. Can you tell us, firstly, Where's the location of this camera?
It's at Collins Road and I believe Twixtown Road.
And can you identify any landmarks on this road?
This is Chick-fil-A. And this is Red Lobster.
And so right over in the Lindale Mall area?
That's correct.
Stopping or pausing at approximately 11 seconds into that video, the dark vehicle heading eastbound on Collins Road in this photograph, is that the defendant's car?
Yes.
Next clip, time-stamped 11/18/36. What intersection are we at here?
I'm sorry, the last one actually was, I think, Lindale, or it was for the mall. This one actually is Twixtown Road, because this is Twixtown Road into the shopping complex on the north side of the road, and this is over here, Lindale Mall.
And
this is Collins Road.
Big bright sign on the right side says Best Buy.
Yes.
So defendant heading eastbound, as we're approaching this red light at the top center of the screen, what intersection is up here to give us some perspective?
That's Collins Road and First Avenue.
Would you agree, investigator, that the defendant's road reached that First Avenue and Collins Road intersection and was stuck at a red light?
Yes.
Can we have the lights dimmed, please? Are they dimmed? Can we have them all the way off? Some of these are really dark. Thank you. The 1836 video that we just played ended in 001. Were there 3 different clips that recorded from that same intersection at that same time?
No, I believe they're all the same clip. Somehow they just got sent 3 times.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Starting the second clip that ends with that same timestamp at 002, would you agree that the defendant's lights are already at that intersection?
Yes.
Would you agree that that recording is broken down into 3 clips?
Yes.
And essentially in the second clip, are we just watching the defendant's vehicle still sitting at that red light?
Yes.
Playing the third clip from that same timestamp ending in 003. Would you agree that the defendant is still sitting at that intersection?
Yes.
Light turned green approximately 13 seconds in.
Yes.
And when the light turned green, what direction did the defendant's vehicle head?
It continued east.
On Collins Road / Highway 100?
Yes.
Moving next to the second folder titled 2 Edgewood Road Southwest. The first clip shown in this folder titled 2/18/2024 at 2:56:52 a.m.
That's correct.
And is this a clip from the Beverly Road Southwest camera?
Yes.
The vehicle seen driving through that intersection at Beverly and Edgewood, were you able to identify that as the defendant's vehicle?
Yes.
And is that vehicle at that time headed eastbound before it turns to go north on Edgewood?
It appears to just be traveling northbound on Edgewood.
That one is going northbound on Edgewood already?
Yes.
Okay. Second video clip within this folder, timestamp 2:57 and 35 seconds.
That's correct.
Is this, or what camera is this taken from?
It's still on Edgewood and Northwest. I'm not 100% sure without seeing my report what intersection this would be.
If your report mentioned that this is at Highway 30 and Edgewood?
That would be correct.
And approximately 5 seconds or 2 seconds into this video, excuse me, the blue vehicle stopped in the middle of that intersection, stopped because I paused it, excuse me. Is that the defendant's vehicle?
Yes, it is.
And is this vehicle still traveling northbound?
Yes.
Third clip in this file, timestamped 2:58:13. What intersection are we seeing in this clip?
Edgewood, Southwest, and 33rd Avenue.
Vehicle seen approximately 2 seconds into the video. Whose vehicle do you identify that as?
The defendant, McKinley Louisma's.
Still headed northbound,
That's correct.
up towards Highway 100.
Yes.
Fourth clip in this, timestamped 2:58:43. Which intersection is this camera going to be from?
Again, I'm not sure what. It'll be Edgewood, Southwest, and it looks like 29th Avenue, Southwest.
From this clip, the right side of the screen is which direction? Would this be northbound on the right side?
Yes.
And at approximately 2 seconds in, the blue Honda Accord stopped in the intersection because I paused it. Whose vehicle do you believe that to be?
The defendant, McKinley Louisma's.
From this camera angle or vantage point, was there anything specific about this clip that drew your attention?
Yes. It appears to be something white on the driver's side of the vehicle. Could be some sort of a logo or something in front of the driver, or it could be the driver's shirt.
Okay. Anything else from this clip?
You can also see an individual in the passenger seat that appears to be a white male.
And I'm going to do my best to pause at a couple of moments during this video. The white that you were speaking of on the driver's side of this vehicle, is that this area?
Yes.
And you mentioned it being a logo or something on someone's shirt?
Possibly.
Possibly. Did you have an opportunity to then view surveillance video from that gas station that showed the defendant and Dakota Van Patten entering it?
Yes.
The marks that you see on the driver's side of this vehicle, were they consistent with the logo that you saw on McKinley Louisma's shirt as he entered into that gas station?
Yes.
Stopping at approximately 3 seconds into this video, what, if any, observations are you able to see from where I've stopped this video about the occupant of the passenger seat?
Appears to be wearing a dark shirt, a white male. Looks like something's in his right hand or maybe left hand, as well as has either dark hair or something dark on his head.
What you see later in surveillance videos from that gas station, was what you see in the passenger seat of this vehicle consistent with what you see as and who the passenger is that gets out of this vehicle at that gas station?
Yes.
And to be clear, who gets out of the passenger seat at the gas station?
Dakota Van Patten.
And the driver's seat?
McKinley Louisma.
Next video clip, timestamp 2:58:59. Is this video taken from Edgewood Parkway?
Yes.
To be clear, top left of the screen on this clip, is that still heading northbound?
Yes, and it's still Edgewood southwest. The cross street there is the Parkway.
So cross here is the Edgewood Parkway,
Yes.
kind of left to right?
Yeah, I
don't
believe
know.
to the left is Westdale Mall area, and the right is restaurants and other commercial buildings.
Wilson Ave, is that your next clip?
Yes.
And timestamped 2:59:27?
Yes.
The vehicle approaching from the top left of this camera, is that the defendant's vehicle
Yes.
with the headlights right here?
That's correct.
I'm getting a lot of buffering with these videos, so I apologize. Does the defendant's vehicle in this clip eventually pass through the intersection of Wilson and Edgewood?
Yes,
Still continuing to head northbound.
that's correct.
Next clip dated 3 o'clock with 22 seconds a.m.
That's correct.
Is this clip taken at 20th Avenue Southwest in Edgewood?
Yes.
And the headlights that are shown in this video, the only headlights shown in this video, is that the defendant's vehicle?
Yes.
Still headed northbound
Yes, it is.
towards Highway 100.
Yes.
Next video dated, or excuse me, timestamped at 3:01 a.m. with 20 seconds.
That's correct.
And what intersection is this video clip from?
I'd have to see the video.
Okay. Are you able to tell from this video?
I am not. I can't see the sign in this one.
If your report mentions 16th Avenue and Edgewood,
Yes.
would that be this intersection?
Yes, it would.
Would there be a Walgreens over to the right side of the street?
Yes, I believe that's West Side Spirits.
Right here?
There in the photo, yes.
KFC over here on the left?
Yes.
Approximately 4 seconds into this video, the dark vehicle in the middle of the intersection, do you believe that to be the defendant's vehicle?
I do.
And is it still heading north,
Yes.
north on Edgewood?
Yes, it is.
Final clip in this folder, timestamped 3:01 and 47 seconds. Is that at the intersection of 12th Avenue Southwest and Edgewood?
Yes.
The vehicle at the top right of the screen now, is that the defendant's vehicle?
Yes.
And so, just going back to State's Exhibit 1A, that folder that we just watched, would you agree that it started in the area of Beverly and Edgewood and just followed Edgewood Road up past 16th Avenue, past 12th Avenue?
Yes.
And then the next set of videos or clips that you received, was that a continuation on Edgewood Road, but now on the northwest side of Edgewood Road?
Yes.
Playing from State's Exhibit 14, Your Honor, first clip within the 3 Edgewood Road Northwest folder, dated February 18th, 2024, timestamped 3:02:42 a.m. Approximately 4 seconds into this video, are you able to see the defendant's vehicle?
Yes.
And is this intersection at Johnson Avenue and Edgewood?
Yes, it is.
Second clip, timestamp 3:02:58. Is that at E Avenue in Edgewood?
Yes.
On the video or on the screen, are you able to see the defendant's vehicle at this point?
Yes, it's has another vehicle that's caught up with it. It's those two vehicles. It's the smaller of the two vehicles there. The one on the left or the bottom.
The one on the bottom
Yes.
is the defendant's vehicle.
Yes.
And is this vehicle still heading north up Edgewood?
Yes, it is.
Third clip, timestamp 3:03:27. Does that show the defendant at F Avenue?
Yes.
Stopping at 3 seconds in, are you able to see the defendant's vehicle?
Yes, it's just crossing that crosswalk at F Avenue.
The second video we watched in that clip was at E Avenue, correct?
Yes.
And just to give us some context on State's Exhibit 1A again, can you use your laser pointer and show us where E Avenue's at on this map?
It's right there.
I'm not going to play the clips, but we also have one from Edgewood and O, is that correct?
That's correct.
And then did you collect another one from Edgewood and Ellis Road Northwest?
Yes.
Can you see Ellis Road Northwest on this map?
Yes.
Can you point that out for us?
It's right there.
The next folder that you received, was that titled or labeled Collins Road Northeast?
Yes.
And were there 3 video clips associated with Collins Road Northeast?
Yes.
Can you tell us the first clip in that folder, time-stamped or dated February 18th, 2024 at 3:12 a.m.? What intersection is the first intersection we see in that video?
I believe it's Collins and Council Road.
And are you able to see Council Road on this map?
Yes.
Can you point it out for us?
It's right here. It's right here, and then there's the intersection of Collins and Council.
Is the third video that you have Collins and Rockwell Drive Northeast?
Yes.
Are you able on here to see Collins and Rockwell Drive or give us an approximation of where it's at?
I believe it's right here.
In between Council and C Avenue?
That's correct.
And then the final clip in that folder, is that at the intersection of F Avenue Northeast and Collins?
Yes, it is.
Where on this map, if you can see it, is F Avenue?
Believe it's right here.
And for the record, I'm going to publish all three of those videos in succession. Hard to see, but the street sign in the top right of this, does that say Council Street?
Yes, it does.
Second clip, 3/12/59. Is that the defendant's vehicle that you see there?
Yes, it is.
What happens with the defendant's vehicle at F Avenue?
It turns left or north onto F Avenue.
So while on Council Road, is the defendant heading back east?
Yes.
And when he makes that left at F Avenue, is he then going north?
Yes, he is.
In the file folder labeled Blair's Ferry, how many video clips did you get there?
1.
And can you tell us, or am I correct in that that one clip is dated February 18th, 2024, 3:15:49 a.m.?
Yes, it is.
Before I play that video, I just want to reference back to 1A. Can you tell us or show us on this map where this camera from Blair's Ferry is? Approximately.
It's at Blair's Ferry and C Avenue.
And if I understood you correctly, that's the last place that the city cameras caught the defendant's vehicle before a few seconds after that he was at the gas station.
That's correct.
To give us some context, the street that the defendant turned left onto, this is Blair's Ferry?
Yes, it is.
Investigator Pope, would you agree that the quickest route, most natural route of travel from Lily Pond back to Blair's Ferry is up that 151 to Beverly where it connects with Edgewood up to Highway 100, over?
Yes.
Essentially the route of travel that the defendant took.
Yes.
I don't have any additional questions, Your Honor.
Cross?
No cross, thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a morning recess then. It'll be about 15 minutes. Have a good break, and please remember the admonition. You can all be seated. All right, we're back on the record in FECR 153477. Is the state prepared to call its next witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may do so.
With the court's permission, the state would recall Detective Pope.
You're still under oath. Go ahead and have a seat. Go ahead, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Pope, I had a couple of follow-up questions for you. Firstly, was the defendant's vehicle searched?
Yes.
And was that done pursuant to a search warrant?
Yes, it was.
When the defendant's vehicle was searched, was there a bag found in the trunk of his car?
Yes, there was.
And were there several items of evidentiary value found within that bag?
Yes.
Can you describe the bag for us?
It was a mint green colored plastic bag.
Mint green colored?
Yes.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would ask to republish a portion of Exhibit 14.
Are you ready?
I am, Judge.
Publishing now.
And just to make the record clear, within 14, I am in file or folder titled 5, Blair's Ferry, and going to play the only clip within that folder.
Go ahead.
Investigator Pope, in watching that clip again, and I'll pause it the second go around, but is there anything specific that you noticed or observed in that clip that you wanted to draw to our attention?
Yes, behind the driver's seat, it appears to be a mint green object sitting in the back seat.
In the back seat of the vehicle?
Yes.
And where I've paused it at approximately 3 seconds into this video, are you able to see the mint green object in which you were referring?
Yes.
Can you point it out for us? Just to be clear, when the defendant is later seen on surveillance video, is there anything about his outfit that's mint green?
No.
When the defendant's vehicle was searched mere hours after this, was there anything mint green other than that bag in the trunk that was located within this vehicle?
No.
To your knowledge, during the search warrants that were conducted on the properties, was there anything mint green that was discovered or collected?
No.
And what is your opinion of what that mint green object is in the backseat of that vehicle?
The bag that was later retrieved from the trunk during the search warrant.
I don't have any additional questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Cross.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you.
If the court would clear my screen, please.
All right, the state can call its next witness.
State calls Adam Paulson.
raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If you would please start by stating and spelling your full name for the record.
Adam, A-D-A-M, Paulson, P-A-U-L-S-E-N.
Thank you. Go ahead, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you first start out by telling us how you're employed?
I am a sergeant at the Marion Police Department.
How long have you been employed with the Marion Police Department?
10 years.
And out of that 10 years, how long have you been a sergeant?
Approximately 6 months, a little less.
Prior to your role as a sergeant with the Marion Police Department, what other roles or titles, for lack of a better word, have you held within the police department?
I was an investigator assigned to the Investigations Bureau most recently prior to being a sergeant.
And how long have you spent in the Investigations Bureau?
A little over 2 years.
Can you tell us a little bit about your educational background?
I have a bachelor's degree from Western Illinois University in Law Enforcement and Justice Administration, and then I'm a graduate of the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy.
And have you received additional or specialized training as a part of your role as an investigator or detective with Marion PD?
Yes, namely in interview and interrogation and photography.
Were you assigned to the investigatory bureau or department approximately February 18th of 2024?
Yes.
And did you also have an opportunity to become involved in the homicide investigation related to Melody Hoffmanin?
Yes.
Can you tell us how you became involved?
I got notified that we had a potential missing persons case and was tasked to come in and assist with that.
And so did you come in and assist with that?
I did.
When you got into the police department, was the Marion Police Department already in possession of or have access to Melody Hoffman's cell phone?
Yes.
Can you tell us what kind of phone that was? Or
It was an Apple iPhone.
Do you know any more specifics about what type of iPhone it is?
It was an iPhone Pro Max.
Within the Marion Police Department, is there a person who's assigned as an evidence technician?
Yes.
And did that evidence technician complete a forensic download of Melody Hoffman's phone?
Yes.
Once that download is completed, is there a type of report or something that's generated from that download?
Yes.
And did you review that downloaded report?
I did.
While examining the contents of the download, did you observe a data entry under wireless network?
Yes.
And can you tell us what that entry, what it told you?
It showed that Melody's phone had connected to a hotspot Wi-Fi network that was a OnePlus Nord N200 5G was the network name.
One, like the word written out,
Yes.
plus word written out,
Yes.
Nord,
No.
N200 5G.
Correct.
I want to show you a couple of exhibits here, previously marked as States Exhibits A, B, and C. Excuse me, 16A, B, and C. Do you see those up on your screen?
I do not. Now I do.
Now you do? Okay. Do you recognize what's contained in these exhibits?
Yes.
And I'm going to go a little bit out of chronological order with these, but are these images related to your examination of Melody Hoffman's phone?
Yes.
And was this done approximately February 18th, 2024?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state would offer 16A, 16B, 16C.
Any objection to exhibits 16A, B, and C?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit 16A, 16B, and 16C are admitted.
And with the court's permission, Your Honor, may I have permission to publish?
Published now.
I want to start first with 16C. Can you tell us what it is we're seeing in this photograph or in this exhibit?
This is part of the phone download report that was previously mentioned, and it is the wireless network entry. It shows that Melody's iPhone was connected to the OnePlus Nord and 200 5G network twice on February 18th, 2024.
Okay, let me back up for a second. So on this printout, this came from the download.
Correct.
And then you said that it shows on this printout that Melody's phone was connected to the hotspot OnePlus Nord N200 5G.
Correct.
And is that the title that we're seeing next to SSID?
Yes, SSID is just a fancy name for network name.
Network name, okay. So within this document, are you able to see the last time Melody's phone was manually connected to that hotspot?
Yes,
And what time was that?
1:01 a.m.
On this exhibit, it also references the last time Melody's phone auto-connected to that hotspot. Do you see that as well?
Yes,
And what time did Melody's phone auto-connect to that hotspot?
2:52 a.m.
Going to publish for you 16A. In 16A, is this Melody's cell phone?
Yes,
In this exhibit, are we on a screen titled Wi-Fi?
yes.
And can you explain to us what path you took within the phone to get to this screen?
Yes, so under the Settings app on an Apple iPhone, you go to Settings, Wi-Fi, and once you're in Wi-Fi, there's a button that says Edit, which then will bring up a list of the saved networks.
And when you say saved networks, tell us what that means.
Networks that have been previously connected to the phone and the user has elected to save them, which includes the password and whether or not the phone is set up to auto-connect again to that Wi-Fi.
In looking at the list of Wi-Fi networks that Melody connected to, is there any particular order in the list that's shown here?
Yes, they are alphabetical.
Were you able, on this phone, or within the phone, to find the OnePlus Nord N200 5G network in her list?
Yes,
And is that the one that I'm highlighting right now?
it is.
4 up from the bottom?
Yes.
If you look in the same line as the OnePlus Nord and move over to the right, there's a little padlock looking thing. Would you agree?
Yes.
Do you know what that padlock does?
I believe that just means it is password protected.
And further right past the padlock, there is a blue eye with a blue circle around it.
Yes.
What happens if you click on that blue eye?
It will bring up more information about that network.
And is that blue information, or the information that's contained behind that blue eye, what is shown in States 16B?
Yes.
I want to zoom in on this just a little bit here. So this that we see on this phone is what pops up once that eye is clicked.
Correct.
In general, what does this screen tell us about the phone?
It shows if the phone is set up to auto-join that network. It shows if the password for that network is saved, and it just gives some other technical information as far as like the Wi-Fi's address.
Does it show you that the OnePlus Nord N200 5G, I'm just going to call it the OnePlus Nord, that this is a private Wi-Fi network?
Yes,
And how are you able to determine that this is a private Wi-Fi network?
because it has a password.
The password to the network, has it been entered into this phone?
Yes,
And how can you tell that?
because you can see next to password that it has a characters entered next to it.
And just for the record, what are the characters listed next to that password?
1132 DLVP.
After the password is manually entered in the phone, does the operator or user of the phone have an option to turn on a setting so that every time this phone is in range of that hotspot, it will automatically connect?
Yes,
Where is that seen on this screen?
is the first white line on the screen where it says auto join, and then since the box to the right is green, it means it is checked and turned on.
So this line here.
Correct.
So the phone has been connected manually at least once. The password's entered, and then the option to automatically connect to this Wi-Fi network has been turned on.
Correct.
You said 1132 DLVP, correct?
Yes.
Can you remind us what Dakota Van Patten's middle name is?
Lyle.
Lyle?
Correct.
Dakota Lyle Van Patten?
Yes.
On February 19th of 2024, did you, Your Honor, if you'd clear my screen, please. On February 19th, did you and Investigator Peterson interview Dakota Van Patten at the Marion Police Department?
Yes.
And prior to the interview, was his phone seized by investigators?
Yes.
What type of phone did he own at that time?
A OnePlus Nord N200.
During the interview with Dakota Van Patten, did you ask him what the password was for his hotspot?
Yes.
And did he provide you with that answer?
He did.
And what was the password to his hotspot that Dakota Van Patten gave you?
1132 DLVP.
The same one found in Melody's phone.
Correct.
And when he provided you with that password, was he or was he not in possession of his phone?
He was not.
So that was a password that he knew by memory.
Correct.
Did he also confirm the name of his Wi-Fi or hotspot network?
He did.
And was that the OnePlus Nord N200 5G?
Yes.
Investigator Paulson, did you also become involved in collection of surveillance video from a Quick Star?
I did.
And can you recall what the address of that Quick Star was?
1001 Blair's Ferry Road in Cedar Rapids.
And what, if you know, was the closest major intersection to that Quick Star?
Blair's Ferry and C Avenue.
Can you tell us what led you to be looking for surveillance video or evidence of the defendant at that location?
During Louisma's interview, he had mentioned that he went to a Quick Star with Van Patten. That Quick Star was, and he said it was near a Burger King. That Quick Star is near a Burger King, and it was near an area where they were last seen on traffic camera footage.
Was there a specific time range or hour range that you inquired about when you reached out to the folks at Quickstar to get the video.
Yes,
And what was that hour range?
3 a.m. to 4 a.m.,
On what date?
February 18th.
When you contacted the folks over at the Quickstar, what other information did you provide to them for them to use in assistance with trying to find some of this footage?
I advised them I was looking for a blue Honda Accord, and I provided them a still shot from the Cedar Rapids traffic camera of the blue Honda Accord. And I also advised them I was looking for a skinny white male and a heavier set black male.
Were you successful in obtaining footage from Quickstar?
Yes,
And did they, I say they, Quickstar people, send you still shots from their footage prior to you ever receiving video?
they did.
And the photos that you got, did those photos come from multiple different camera angles?
Yes.
Was there any particular chronology in the photos when you got them, or they just gave you a bunch of photos?
There was no particular order.
After you got these still shots, did you then get an actual video from them?
Yes.
And can you tell us just generally what the video showed?
The video shows the blue Honda Accord arrive at Quickstar. McKinley Louisma and Dakota Van Patten enter the store. They approach the counter, have a brief interaction with the clerk, make a purchase. They proceed to the bathroom and then leave the store.
You mentioned that they made a purchase while up at the counter with the clerk. Were you able to determine during your investigation what it was that they purchased at that counter?
Yes, they purchased cigarettes and a type of cigar.
And did you also get some sort of a printout that depicted that transaction?
Yes.
I want to show you what has previously been marked as States Exhibit 15B through 15Q. Do you have that up there now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to scroll through these. Do you recognize the images that are depicted in this sequence of exhibits?
Yes.
And can you tell us just briefly what they are?
This is the images I received from Quickstar.
Your Honor, the state offers 15B through 15Q.
Any objection to 15B through 15Q?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibits 15B through 15Q are admitted.
And the video that you received from the Quickstar marked as States Exhibit 15A, was that something that you provided to the Lynn County Attorney's Office?
Yes.
And is that the video that you received from the Quick Trip folks?
Yes.
Or Quickstar folks? Okay. Your Honor, state also offers 15A.
Any objection to 15A?
No objection, Your Honor.
15A is admitted.
May I have permission, Your Honor, to publish exhibits?
Which one are you publishing?
I'm going to do all of 15.
All right. You may do so.
Starting first with States Exhibit 15B, can you tell us, firstly, what time stamp is shown on this exhibit?
3:17 a.m.
On what date?
February 18th, 2024.
And what in particular are we, or should we be focused on in this exhibit?
The vehicle in the background of the photo.
This one?
Correct.
And what do you believe that vehicle shows?
The vehicle owned by McKinley Louisma.
On 15C or in 15C, what are we seeing here?
You're able to see that there appears to be 2 occupants in the vehicle.
And are you familiar with both McKinley Louisma and Dakota Van Patten?
Yes.
From this angle, are you able to determine who the driver is?
Yes.
Who is that?
McKinley Louisma.
And who's the passenger?
Dakota Van Patten.
And what is the date and time stamp on this photo?
It is February 18th, 2024 at 3:17 a.m.
In 15D, what are we seeing here?
You are seeing McKinley Louisma entering the store.
And 15E, what are we seeing?
You can see McKinley Louisma and Dakota Van Patten entering the store.
There is a laser pointer up there, I believe. And on the face of it, there's a little green button.
Yep.
It only works on the big screen, but can you point out for us who is who?
In the front is McKinley Louisma, and the rear is Dakota Van Patten.
15F, what are we seeing?
You are seeing Dakota Van Patten entering the store.
And the silhouette that's kind of blocked by the door a little bit here, who's this?
McKinley Louisma.
15G, what do we
Photograph
see?
containing McKinley Louisma. And you can see his shirt, sweatshirt that appears to have a Technoblade Never Dies and a logo.
And when you say a logo, would you agree that it's a rather large logo?
Yes.
Bright against the black sweatshirt?
Yes.
15H, what are we seeing in this photograph?
That is the rear of McKinley Louisma's vehicle where they parked it in front of the store.
And so the vehicle being partially blocked by these gas pumps, is this the blue Honda Accord that you're referring to?
It is.
15I, tell me what we're seeing here.
This is McKinley Louisma and Dakota Van Patten at the counter.
And 15J?
McKinley Louisma and Dakota Van Patten at the counter making their purchase with the sales clerk.
15K?
McKinley Louisma and Dakota Van Patten walking to the bathroom.
15L?
McKinley Louisma and Dakota Van Patten walking to the bathroom still.
15M?
McKinley Louisma and Dakota Van Patten exiting the store.
15N?
McKinley Louisma and Dakota Van Patten exiting the store.
And the main focal point of this exhibit, that's Dakota Van Patten.
Correct.
15O?
McKinley Louisma and Dakota Van Patten going towards the bathroom.
And what are we seeing in 15P?
The third car from the bottom is the blue Honda Accord, and you can see a subject getting into the trunk of that vehicle, and that is McKinley Louisma.
And when you say that is McKinley Louisma, he's the person getting into the trunk.
Correct.
$15Q, firstly, tell us what this document is.
That is the receipt from the transaction at Quickstar.
The name listed in the, I think, fifth column here. Who do you know this person to be?
That is the name of the Quickstar clerk.
Okay, so the employee of the gas station.
Correct.
And at approximately 3:20 in the morning on the 18th, what specifically did the defendant and Dakota Van Patten purchase from that Quickstar?
Black and Mild cigars and Marlboro Special Blend cigarettes.
Shows they paid in cash, got change back.
Yes.
Going to publish for you States Exhibit 15A. Before we play through that, I just want to ask you a clarifying question. Is Quickstar and Quick Trip owned by the same company?
Yes, they are.
And so sometimes are they interchanged depending on who's sending you what?
Yes,
So even though this video came over titled as Quick Trip video, this is a video from the Quickstar that was there on Blair's Ferry Road.
correct.
Okay. In the first 20 seconds or so of this video, the defendant and Dakota Van Patten entered the store. They made a right, but it would be our left. What is down that way when you make that left? Are those the bathrooms down there?
I'm not entirely certain what is that way.
Okay. Thank you. Investigator Paulson, in watching that video and viewing the photos that were sent over to you, can you describe for us your impression of the interactions between the defendant and Dakota Van Patten?
It seemed very casual, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary.
When you viewed all of those things, was there any point in the photos or the video where you observed either of them to be carrying any weapons?
No,
Any point in the videos or the photos where you observed what you would believe to be a firearm?
no,
Anywhere in their waistbands?
no,
Anything that indicated to you that the hooded sweatshirts they were wearing were being weighed down by a heavy object?
no.
When those two arrived at this gas station, who led them into the store?
McKinley Louisma.
And who led them around in the store?
McKinley Louisma.
And when they were at the counter, who appeared to be interacting with the clerk behind the counter?
McKinley Louisma.
And remind us who paid.
McKinley Louisma.
And then the two of them went off screen for a while and came back. Who led them off screen and back on screen?
McKinley Louisma.
And the first one out of the door?
McKinley Louisma.
Was there any point or period while they were in public on this video interacting that it appeared to you that Mr. Louisma was attempting to get help or assistance from clerks or people in the public or anything?
There was not.
Pack of Black & Milds, pack of cigarettes, right?
Correct.
And you would agree that both of those are relatively small objects,
Yes.
pocket-sized.
Yes.
When the defendant left the store, was there anything in his hands big enough that needed to be put in the trunk?
No.
Was there anything in this video that indicated to you that either McKinley Louisma or Dakota Van Patten was in fear or afraid?
No.
Anything that indicated they were in fear or afraid of each other?
No.
Investigator, can you tell us generally what I think it's called Apple Health Data is?
Yes. Apple has an application on their phone that is labeled Health. It contains things such as your steps, heart rate, and decibel, loud decibel events that have been detected.
And is this Apple Health Data something that, I'm not technical, so that's in or embedded or an app on Melody's phone?
It is.
Okay. When you were doing an examination, well, let me ask this. Did you do an actual examination of Melody's physical phone, the actual device?
Yes.
And when you were in there moving around within the phone, was that February 18th?
Yes.
When you were in there within the phone, did you have an opportunity to go to and or observe her Apple Health Data?
I did.
Was there any information within that Apple Health Data that drew your attention to it?
Yes, there was data related to a decibel event. There was a loud decibel reading that was recorded that then triggered an alert.
Let me stop you there. When you say a decibel event, does this program capture an abnormally loud noise.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got a decibel reading that was captured. What else, if anything, was captured?
There was heart rate data from Melody's Apple Watch that she had been wearing.
And what information did you see related to the heart rate data?
That there was a period of an elevated heart rate, and then the data stopped recording.
Couple of questions. When you say elevated heart rate, was this just a little rise, or how would you describe the degree of increase in the heart rate?
You could see an extreme change from what her trending resting heart rate was
To a
to
moment.
an upward moment, a very high moment where she had a high heart rate.
And then you said that the watch, right after that rise, quit tracking data.
Correct.
What does it indicate to you when the watch quit tracking her heart rate data?
It could indicate that it was either disconnected from her body or that her heart rate stopped.
The decibel reading, the increase, extreme increase in heart rate, and then the data stopping, was that all, did that all happen at the same time?
Yes.
Okay. When you observed the spike, the decibel reading, the ceasing of heartbeat being read, approximately, what time was all of those events happening?
At approximately midnight on February 18th.
In the midnight hour?
Correct.
Okay. Now, are there reports from this forensic download that the evidence technician did on the phone that captured that information?
There is not.
Why?
Melody's iPhone was using a beta version of Apple's operating system, and due to it being on a beta version, it did not compute or translate with our download software, so we were not able to get a complete and full download of her phone.
When I hear the word beta, I think like inferior. I don't know. Was it a lesser version, or what do you mean by a beta version?
It was a test version that Apple had released to users to try if they chose. It was not a full version that had been vetted and released like would be typically on somebody's phone. She was using a test version of the operating system.
So would it be fair to say that the program that does the forensic download was not compatible with that test version?
Correct.
Okay. So when the download happened, that application's data was not collected because of the incompatibility.
Correct.
And did you realize that?
No, not initially.
When you did realize it, what did you do to try and correct the lack of data being captured from that app?
We tried to go back to Melody's physical device, her phone, and retrieve that data. However, it was inoperable.
Okay. So you went back and got her phone, tried to power it on to get back to that same place, and you couldn't get it.
Correct.
And when you say it was inoperable, would it even power at all?
It would not.
Earlier, when Megan Hoffman testified, she described the phone as being shattered and there being shards of glass. Would you agree that that's an accurate description of this phone?
Yes.
And, Your Honor, if I may approach the witness.
You may.
Investigator Paulson, I'm going to show you what has previously been marked as State's Exhibit 16E. Do you recognize this item?
Yes.
And what do you recognize this item to be?
Melody Hoffman's phone.
Your Honor, State offers 16E.
Any objection to 16E?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 16E is admitted.
May I have permission to publish this exhibit, Your Honor?
You may.
And can I do that with the assistance of the Elmo?
You may.
Investigator Paulson, while we're pulling up the Elmo, would you agree that this phone has a phone case?
Yes.
Tell us about this phone case. How did it get on this phone?
It would have to have been put on by the Melody Hoffman.
One more. There we go. All right. Front of the phone,
Correct.
back of the phone.
Correct.
When you got this phone, this case was on, if you recall.
I didn't initially receive the phone. It was received by a different officer.
Sure, but when you got it in your possession, was this case on?
Yes.
So you can't say when or how it got put there.
Cannot.
On this phone, should this area be solid
Yes.
and good and shattered?
It should not be shattered, no.
Okay. And this area specifically at the bottom of the phone, would you also agree that that's shattered and has shards?
Yes.
Would you expect this phone to fall apart if the case was removed from it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, thank you, Your Honor. Is this the type of damage to a phone that you would expect to see if it was dropped out or thrown out of a vehicle on an on-ramp?
No. I would say it's more consistent with the phone that had been ran over by a vehicle.
Okay. I would like to also show you what's been previously marked as 16D2.
I can see it now.
And do you recognize the document that's contained within 16D2?
Yes.
And just generally, can you tell us what this document depicts?
It is part of the download report.
And does this page give you information related to voicemails that were left?
Yes.
And when you say the download report and voicemails that were left, are those related to Melody Hoffman's phone?
Yes.
So voicemails that have been left on her device?
Correct.
Okay. Your Honor, the state offers 16D2.
Any objection to 16D2?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 16D2 is admitted.
May I publish 16D2, please?
16D2 is published.
On 16D2, what information did you find to be important to this investigation?
You can see that a voicemail was left on February 18th, 2024 at 3:13 a.m.
And where do you see that at?
Item listed as number 1, top of the list.
In this area?
Yep,
So the voicemail that would come in would be timestamped in this column,
correct,
and on the 18th at 3:13, a voicemail was left.
correct.
Under the from category, is that the phone number for the caller that left the voicemail?
Yes,
Duration is how long the voicemail lasted?
correct.
Were you able, through your investigation, to determine what this voicemail was?
Yes.
And what was it?
It was emergency communications checking on a crash notification that they had received from the device.
So when that crash notification came across the phone, that's something that's automatically relayed to 911?
Correct.
And then once 911 received it, they contacted the owner of the phone.
Correct.
Was that voicemail captured?
It was.
Your Honor, the state offers Exhibit 16D1, the recording of that voicemail that was left.
Any objection to 16D1?
No objection, Your Honor.
16D1 is received.
And may I publish that?
You may.
Your phone just called in saying that you may have been. This is 911. Your phone just called in saying that you may have been in an accident. We have responders headed to that GPS location. If you're able, call us back either on 911 or 319-286-5491.
I don't have any additional questions for this witness, Your Honor.
We're at the noon hour, so I think we'll go ahead and recess. Jurors, there's a matter that we're going to be working on over lunch that doesn't concern the jury, so I'm going to have you come back a little bit later at 1:45 today, hopefully to avoid you waiting. So it's a little bit longer break today. Please remember the admonition I've given you throughout the case, and we'll see you back here at 1:45. Have a good lunch. be seated. All right, we're back on the record in FECR 153477. Well, jurors, it took longer than we thought, so I'm sorry about that. When we left off, the defense was about to do cross-examination for Sergeant Paulson. So, Sergeant Paulson, you're still under oath, and Mr. Moore, Ms. Eimerman, you can conduct your cross-examination.
Your Honor, my apologies for interrupting, but the agreement of the parties is that the state was going to reopen the record to complete a couple of extra questions on direct examination before we switched across, if that was okay with the court.
Yep, very well. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Investigator Paulson, welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know prior to lunch we went through several exhibits, some of which included still shots and video from the Quick Star on Blair's Ferry Road.
Correct.
Though we only up to this point have published and offered one video clip, when Quick Star reached out or got back with you, were several files from multiple different camera angles sent to you.
They were.
And in one of the photos that we saw earlier, you noted that the photo depicted the defendant in the trunk of his vehicle.
Correct.
Were you able to observe a camera angle from within Quick Star, or at the Quick Star, that showed video of that incident?
Yes.
And was that camera angle titled Front Walk?
Yes.
And you've reviewed that?
Yes.
On the disc that you reviewed, would you agree that there is a video player as well as 24 different angles from Quick Star that are included within that disc?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time the state would offer 15R.
Any objection to 15R?
No objection, Your Honor.
15R is admitted.
And may I have permission to publish portion of that exhibit, Your Honor?
All right, I'm publishing 15R now.
Within the video player that comes from the Quick Star, is there a capability within that player to do some zooming in and some zooming out?
Yes.
I'm going to fast forward to approximately 3:24 and play from there. The two people that just emerged from the Quick Star, is that the defendant and Dakota Van Patten?
Yes.
And this dark blue vehicle that I'm circling third from the bottom, is that the vehicle that belongs to the defendant?
Yes.
After you watched this video segment, can you tell us what you saw that we should expect to see in watching this?
You can see McKinley Louisma go into the rear passenger compartment of the vehicle and retrieve a bag before going around to the trunk and placing that bag in the trunk.
And when you say the rear passenger's compartment, we're talking driver's side, back seat?
Correct.
Okay. The object that we viewed in the defendant's hand being put into the trunk, based on the totality of your investigation, is that bag or that item consistent in size, shape, and color with the mint green bag that was found in the trunk during the search of the defendant's vehicle?
Yes.
I don't have any additional questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Investigator Paulson, when you noted that there was an extreme increase in heart rate on the Apple Health data for Melody Hoffman, are you able to give a number or some kind of information as to how much it increased?
I am not.
And so when you testify as to that information that you gleaned from her phone or other device, you're operating from memory today?
Correct.
I don't have any further questions, Your Honor.
Redirect.
You're operating from memory because you didn't document it when you first saw it, correct?
Correct.
And is that because you thought that that information was going to be picked up in the download?
Yes.
And when you realized that it wasn't picked up in the download, you tried to go back and get it,
Correct.
and the phone was not operable
Correct.
because it was crushed?
Correct.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Cross.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. State can call its next witness.
State calls Tom Peterson.
Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
If you would please start by stating and spelling your full name for the record.
Thomas Peterson, Thomaspetterson.
Thank you. Go ahead, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Officer Peterson.
Good afternoon.
We're going to have you tell us a little bit about yourself here. What is your occupation?
I'm a police officer at the Marion Police Department
And how long have you been a police officer at the Marion Police Department?
for 12 years.
What's your current assignment?
Investigations Division.
What's your current rank?
Sergeant.
And now I'm going to call you Sergeant Peterson instead of Officer Peterson.
That's okay.
How long have you been, well, tell us about the various assignments that you've had with the Marion Police Department. Just give us kind of a history.
Prior to go to investigations, I was on patrol for 9 years. I was a field training officer for 6 years. I am currently a U.S. Marshals Task Force officer for their fugitive task force. I also am on the SWAT team as a sniper, an ALICE instructor, so for active shooter and training, and then also a simulation instructor for force on force.
Have you had any other positions in law enforcement other than the ones you've just described for us as a Marion police officer?
Prior to becoming a law enforcement officer in Iowa, I was in the United States Air Force as security forces. I had about 4 weeks of training with the security forces during their technical school.
Now tell us a little bit about your background before becoming a police officer, your education, any other training and experience that you've had in the area.
I graduated high school from Marion High School in 2005, and after that I went to the Air Force, like I said. Spent 4 years in the Air Force. I was on the security side, but not law enforcement. I did have the law enforcement training. After the Air Force, I went to Kirkwood Community College for 2 years and graduated with an associate's degree in criminal justice. During that time, I had an internship for 6 months with the Marion Police Department. And then in 2012, I was hired by the Marion Police Department and attended the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy in Johnston, Iowa. After that, I have attended several different courses related to investigations. One, most notably, would be the Southern Institute, or Policing Institute of Louisville, Kentucky, for their homicide course, which is 80 hours long. It covers various things that incorporate for homicide investigations. I've also been to CTK groups and interview interrogation classes, the basic and advanced. And then also a cell phone tower data information class.
I think Monica gave you the slow down sign.
She did.
Right?
I apologize.
All right, that's all right. All right. You've got a lot of training. Why don't you tell us about the last thing you mentioned there, the training that you received on the cell phone tower location, interpretation and whatnot?
It was a basic course for investigators. Basically, they taught us how to read an analysis done by a certified individual to take cell phone records and plot them on a map, and then basically to understand how to read that information on a map. Also, how to do tower dumps, which is gaining all that information and locating phones within that a certain area that would be of interest in crimes.
Have you also received some in-house training or instruction on how to review, access, and interpret data that comes from cell phone downloads?
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Our department has Cellbrite. We had an evidence tech that would assist in basically reviewing downloads with me. It's a fairly user-friendly application. With various cases, she's instructed me how to use the program and where to look for things within that program.
As a result of that instruction that you received in-house, then are you competent enough to be able to at least look through cell phone data that's been downloaded and pinpoint the things of interest?
Yes.
Where were you assigned, or to what division were you assigned with the Marion Police Department on or about February 17th and 18th of 2024?
The Investigations Bureau.
Specifically, did you have an opportunity to become involved in the investigation of first a missing person, Melody Hoffman, and then Melody Hoffman's homicide?
Yes.
Can you tell us how it was you became involved in this investigation?
At the time, my boss, Lieutenant Fort, had called me off duty and notified us that we had a missing person, and also that Iowa County was out with a body that they had identified as Melody.
So you knew from you, Lieutenant, that you had a missing person, but then you also had a body that was found out in Iowa County, and that Iowa County was on the scene there.
Correct.
Okay. Where did you proceed then?
I went directly to the Marion Police Department.
And was that on Sunday the 18th when you first became involved?
That's correct.
When you arrived at the Marion Police Department with regards to this investigation, can you tell us what initial steps you first took?
Initially, Special Agent Trent Valletta was on scene with from the Department of Division of Criminal Investigation with the Iowa Department of Public Safety. He briefed us on what they had found in Iowa County. Also, Megan's mother came to the police department by then to report Melody missing. We started looking for calls for service at their residence that were fairly recent.
And when you did look for calls for service at their residence that was recent, did you find or encounter a call for service involving Melody and Megan Hoffman and a threatening text message that was sent to Melody on or about January 7th, 2024?
I did.
Okay. And when you accessed that information, did you find that that investigation had been closed?
Yes.
And what was it closed with, it being resolved, or just leads exhausted, or what did it indicate?
The officer that responded, Officer Corey Ryan, he determined that it appeared the number came from a text now number. Patrol doesn't have access to find out where that number came from. I believe he offered some extra patrol and to block the number at the time.
So what's text now, so we just kind of know what that is?
It's an application you can put on your phone, and it takes phone numbers that are available, and then you can use that phone number for a time period.
Would it create then a temporary phone number to use?
Yes.
And through the Text Now app, does the message come through with that phone number?
Yes.
Okay. And at a later date in this investigation, were there some attempts to try to find out what Who made that phone number?
Yes, there was a search warrant sent to TextNow to discover who that individual was or where it came back to.
And to your knowledge, was there ever any information obtained as to who created that TextNow number?
No.
Was TextNow not able to provide that information?
I don't think they had a specific person that it came back to, if I recall correctly.
But in any event, that investigation had been closed.
That's correct.
Were you advised by Megan Hoffman as to who Melody may have potentially been with that night?
Yes.
And who were you advised that she had potentially been with that night?
Defendant, McKinley Louisma.
Did you gather some information about a vehicle that Mr. Louisma may have been operating that night?
Yes, we obtained a license plate from that call for service that Megan had provided Officer Ryan at the time. And then we performed a check through NCIC, which hosts all the license plates, driver's license names, who the vehicle would have came back to, who the registered owner was. And that was to the defendant.
What kind of vehicle was that found to be again?
It was a dark blue Honda Accord.
So you found through your records check that the defendant had a dark blue Honda Accord registered in his name under the license plate that was provided back on January 7th.
Correct.
Officer Ryan.
Correct.
And what did you do with that information?
Our department put out an attempt to locate within the metro area to stop and hold that vehicle so the defendant could be questioned.
I think we all kind of know the short word for that is ATL, right?
Correct.
Okay. What does that do, like when you put in an ATL? What does that accomplish?
It notifies local law enforcement that other agencies are looking for a particular vehicle or a particular subject with some minor descriptions of what the investigation is.
So would this attempt to locate then go through the system to other law enforcement agencies like the Lynn County Sheriff, the Cedar Rapids Police Department, Mount Vernon, those type of things?
It would have.
When was that attempt to locate first sent out?
It was approximately 7:20 that evening on the 18th.
Okay, 7:20 p.m. on February 18th?
Correct.
Initially, did you and other investigators have any information as to where Mr. Louisma would be living?
At the time, we just followed what NCIC indicated was on his driver's license or the registration to the vehicle.
Okay. And did you find that he was living at the address that was on the registration?
No.
Okay. So that lead kind of ended up dead then? Didn't lead anywhere, right?
Correct.
Okay. So initially, would you say you didn't have a lot of solid information on where Mr. Louisma was living?
That's correct.
As a result, did it take some time to find his vehicle?
Relatively, no.
Okay. Relatively in terms of how long ATLs take to locate?
Correct.
Okay. But it did take a few hours, right?
Yes.
Okay. Where was the vehicle ultimately found?
The 4,000 block of Hummingbird Lane in Hiawatha.
Did you or other investigators know that Mr. Louisma was living in that area at the time?
We did not know.
And so that would have been a reason why you didn't find it earlier then?
Correct.
Okay. Approximately what time was the suspect vehicle located?
Approximately 2 a.m. on the 19th.
And what agency located that vehicle?
Cedar Rapids Police Department.
And did a sergeant with the Cedar Rapids Police Department then advise you all at Marion that they had found the suspect vehicle?
They did.
So now we're at 2 a.m. on February 19th, correct?
That's correct.
What was done with that vehicle when it was found?
I responded to the scene. Cedar Rapids was conducting surveillance in the area. They did not want to give up their position. I responded to where the car was at, contacted Darrow's Towing out of Hiawatha, who we normally contract with, to tow vehicles in investigations or accidents. I stayed there with the vehicle until Darrow's arrived on scene, loaded the vehicle, and transported it to the Marion Police Department and placed it into a Sally port where it was secured.
So when that vehicle was secured at the Marion Police Department, what did you do next?
After that morning, we applied for a search warrant on that vehicle.
And just so we're clear kind of on what takes place here, the vehicle was towed by Darrow's ultimately to the Marion Police Department.
That's correct.
And Is that a process that you've been familiar with in the past?
Yes,
Okay. Is that a process that's utilized by your department and other departments in the area?
yes,
And have you found that to be a process where this vehicle's towed to your sally port, to your department, to be the most reasonable and safe way to secure the vehicle so there's no evidence lost or no other problems that may arise?
that's correct.
And so you're confident that by the time you got the vehicle from the 4,000 block of Hummingbird Lane to the Marion Police Department, there hadn't been any reasonable tampering with the vehicle at all?
That's correct.
What general observations did you first make of the vehicle when it arrived at the Marion Police Department?
That night, it was just placed into the sally port. Like I said, the next morning, we waited for a search warrant to be approved, and then we made our observations of the vehicle from the outside.
Did you do a walk around of the vehicle?
Yes,
And during that walk around of the vehicle, did you locate anything of interest, at least on the outside of the vehicle?
there was a small speck of blood near the keyhole in the trunk, just above the license plate.
Did you see this before or after Mr. Louisma was initially interviewed?
This is before we interviewed him.
So before Mr. Louisma ultimately ended up at the Marion Police Department, you had already seen the speck of blood in the vehicle?
Yes,
Were you in a position where you could see into the vehicle from the outside into the interior of the vehicle?
yes,
And when you did that, did you see within the passenger compartment of the vehicle, the front or the back seat, any kind of noticeable blood or body matter of any kind?
we did not see any blood or anything of that type.
Did you see any tissues or any clothes that were evident in that passenger area, front or back seat, that contained any kind of blood or other physical matter?
No,
Was Mr. Louisma initially advised by the Marion Police Department that his vehicle had been taken and towed?
he was not, no.
At the time it was taken and towed, did you know where he lived in that area?
No, I did not.
So all you knew is that his vehicle was found in the 4,000 block of Hummingbird Lane in Hiawatha.
That's correct.
At 2 a.m.
Correct.
How did you and the other investigators ultimately make contact with Mr. Louisma?
Mr. Louisma called the Marion Police Department wondering where his car was.
And when he called, did he talk to a dispatcher there or somebody in the office? Took a message.
He would have talked to dispatch initially.
And was that message then sent on to you or one of the other investigators?
It was sent on to Investigator Kedley, or Special Agent Kedley.
And so we know, because we've mentioned his name before, but who's Special Agent Kedley? What's his full name and who does he work for?
He works for the Department of Criminal Investigation, or Division of Criminal Investigation with Iowa Department of Public Safety. His first name is Ryan.
Okay. So have you and Special Agent Ryan Kedley worked on this case basically together?
Yes.
Is that something the Marion Police Department does pretty frequently?
Yes.
So you'll team up with a DCI agent to investigate cases?
That's correct.
Who reached back out to Mr. Louisma?
Special Agent Kedley did.
And as a result of Special Agent Kedley reaching out to Mr. Louisma, did he come to the Marion Police Department?
He did.
Okay. Who conducted the interview of Mr. Louisma?
Myself and Special Agent Kedley.
Who would you say was kind of the lead person in that interview?
Special Agent Kedley.
Okay. And so Special Agent Kedley would ask and talk about, the interview that took place.
That's correct.
We'll talk to him a little later this week. What time did the defendant come to the Marion Police Department?
It was approximately 4:20 in the afternoon on the 19th.
So by February 19th at 4:20 p.m., he was at the Marion Police Department.
That's correct.
I want to jump ahead a bit to some witnesses that you ended up talking to in this case. Some of names have been mentioned here already. First, did you speak to a person by the name of Patricia or Patty Bascom?
I did.
And who's she?
She is the maternal grandmother of Logan Kimpton.
So we had a witness here, I think it was yesterday, Nakia Sloboda. She referred to Patty as her Nana. So is that like the same person, Patty Bascom?
Yes.
Okay. And was she also, where was she living at the time?
4006 Hummingbird Lane.
Did you find out that she was living with Nakia Sloboda and the defendant?
Yes.
Overall, when you talked to Patty Bascom, did she have any direct knowledge about the homicide of Melody Hoffman?
No.
Did you speak with an Alan Carl? I think he's also been called Carl Allen, but Alan Carl?
Yes.
Okay. And who's he?
He's Patty's husband or significant other.
And he lived with Patty and Nakia and the defendant too?
That's correct.
And Logan, I think, stayed there as well?
That's correct.
Okay. When you talked to him, did he have any direct knowledge about the homicide of Melody Hoffman?
He did not.
Did you speak to Taya Meyer?
I did.
Okay, and who's Taya Meyer?
She's a friend of defendant Van Patten's.
On what date did you speak to Taya Meyer?
I believe it was on the 20th of February.
Did you speak to her about a conversation that she had with Dakota Van Patten after Melody Hoffman had been kidnapped and killed on the 18th of February 2024?
Yes.
Did Taya Meyer talk to you about what Dakota Van Patten said to her in the early morning hours of February 18th, 2024, when he was dropped off at her residence by McKinley Louisma?
She did.
What did she tell you about what Dakota Van Patten said about who killed Melody Hoffman?
She expressed that Dakota had told her that Dakota and the defendant had killed Melody.
Did she have any other direct knowledge about the homicide of Melody Hoffman other than what Dakota Van Patten told her?
No.
Did you talk to Brandon Monson?
I did.
And who is he?
He's a roommate of Taya Meyer's, or a friend.
And we spoke with Brandon Monson already in this trial, but when you talked to Brandon Monson, did he have any direct knowledge about the homicide of Melody Hoffman other than things that he said Logan Kimpton said?
That's the only thing that he noted.
And who is Shanta McMurrin?
Shantae McMurrin is one of Dakota Van Patten's friends, and I believe she's also friends with Logan Kimpton.
Did you find out that earlier in the evening Dakota Van Patten had been with is it Shantae? Shantae McMurrin?
Yes.
Okay. When you talked to her, did she have any direct knowledge about the homicide of Melody Hoffman?
No.
And what about Courtney Gleason?
She was an online girlfriend of Logan Kimpton's.
And did you talk to her?
I did.
Did she have any direct knowledge about the homicide of Melody Hoffman?
She did not.
And did you talk to Logan Kimpton?
I did.
Did Logan Kimpton admit to you to being directly involved in the kidnapping and homicide of Melody Hoffman?
No.
We won't get into that interview, but as a result of your investigation in this case, was Logan Kimpton also charged with a criminal offense?
Yes, he was.
What was he charged with?
Conspiracy to commit a forcible felony.
Did you speak with Dakota Van Patten?
I did.
And when did you interview Dakota Van Patten?
He would have been on February 19th as well.
So the same day that you all spoke to McKinley Louisma, you also spoke to Dakota Van Patten?
That's correct.
We heard some testimony earlier from, I think it was Detective Pope, that he made initial contact with Dakota Van Patten. There was a picture taken of an air pistol or something like that. And then he, after that, was that when he was driven to the Marion Police Department to talk to you all?
I don't recall that part.
Okay. Was he?
But yes, he was picked up at his residence and then taken to the Marion Police Department.
Okay. You weren't involved with the air pistol stuff, just?
No.
Okay, gotcha. All right. But he came and talked to you that night as well?
He did.
Okay. When you interviewed him that day, did Dakota Van Patten admit to you that he was directly involved in the kidnapping and homicide of Melody Hoffman?
No, he did not.
As a result of your investigation in this case, was Dakota Van Patten also charged?
He was.
What was he charged with?
Murder in the first degree, kidnapping first degree, and conspiracy to commit a forcible felony.
Okay, Sergeant Peterson, shifting gears here for a minute. As part of the investigation into the events of February 17th and 18th of 2024, were there cell phone tower location records that were obtained and accessed for phones belonging to Melody Hoffmanin, McKinley Louisma, Logan Kempton, and Dakota Van Patten?
There were.
Was that information put together into reports by agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigations?
That's correct.
And was that done in order to lay out, as you spoke about earlier, and lay out maps that would demonstrate the location of the cell phones that were tracked by cell phone towers?
That's correct.
And did that cover the evening hours of February 17th into February 18th, 2024?
That's correct.
Okay, I'm going to present to you, if I can, Sergeant Peterson, State's Exhibit number 17. Sergeant Peterson, State's Exhibit number 17A. This is a 27-page document, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And you recognize the contents of this 27-page document?
I do.
Okay. Is this a fair and accurate copy of the report that was generated by the Federal Bureau of Investigations regarding cell phone tower location?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point in time, I'd like to make a record here with the defense that we've agreed to waive the presence of the agent himself who prepared this and have Detective Peterson testify about the contents. I believe the defense would agree with that.
That's correct. I don't have any objection to this exhibit.
And yes, we'd like to move it into evidence.
Any objection to the receipt of Exhibit 17A?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit 17A is admitted.
And we will ask to publish that and talk about the contents of this report.
17A is published.
We should probably get comfortable because this might take a while, right? All right, we'll try to move through it in as an efficient manner as we can here, Detective Peterson. So we're on page 1 right now of this document here. This is the title of the report. Now it says across the top draft, but is your understanding that this is not only the draft but also the completed report?
That's correct.
Okay. And what are we seeing generally here on this this page?
This is Special Agent Nathan Hops from the FBI. He's out of the FBI field office out of Omaha. It's showing that we have 4 different target phone numbers, color-coded, and then also the carriers for each of those phone numbers. So for defendants Van Patten and Kempton, they're with T-Mobile, and then they're color-coded in black and green. For Verizon, for defendant Louisma, it is in red, and then for Melody's phone, it is in purple with U.S. Cellular.
So as we proceed through this report then, and when we see matters or markings on the report, in black we know we're talking about Logan Kempton's phone, right?
That's correct.
And then green is Dakota Van Patten, right?
That's correct.
And then red is McKinley Louisma, right?
That's correct.
And then purple?
Purple.
Purple is Melody Hoffmanin, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So we'll move on to the next page here. And is this just sort of a disclaimer type of thing they would put on these reports?
That's correct. When it comes with a draft, they put this disclaimer in. If it's an official copy, they would note that their information is peer-reviewed. If I call it correctly, Special Agent actually had this peer-reviewed before it was sent over to our police department.
So although this says that it's still pending peer review, this is the final draft. It's been peer-reviewed, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, that's correct.
Okay, we'll move on to the next page then. What does this tell us? You don't have to read it word for word. Just kind of give us a general idea if you could.
Essentially, it's telling, it's just narrating that our department asked the FBI to do the CAST analysis, which is their acronym for their program, and then how they would enter the call details into their program based off the search warrants that come in with in an Excel file with all the call data, whether it be data, text, or voice, and then also it contains cell site locations provided by each carrier. Each cell site they update every so often, and then the conclusion is basically this is the product that they were able to produce with the information provided from the search warrants.
Great, and this is available then at a later date if the jury wants to understand more about things like methodologies, cell site locations, right?
Correct.
Okay, move to the next page then. What do we have here?
So cell towers, we generally think that as them of just regular cell phone towers that we see out in the middle of a cornfield. However, cell sites, as the term will be generally used by people that process this data, because a cell site can be anything really. It can be on a structure, it can be on a water tower, it can be made up as a cactus or a tree. So cell towers or cell sites can be anything that they can attach their radio frequency towers on.
So you could be under a cell tower at any given time, you don't know it.
Correct.
All right, go to the next page. Page 5 here for the record. What's this tell us?
So this kind of lays out how each cell site will work when a cell phone communicates with a cell tower. Each cell site is divided up into 3 different sectors, 120 degrees each, giving you 3 sectors. Whenever a phone is activated within that sector, so the phone is talking to that tower, it'll show on the right-hand side how that tower or that sector is activated within that tower.
Do you have a laser pointer in front of you?
I do.
So could you point down, or on the left here, to the sector that would be the southeast?
Southeast?
Yeah, right down here.
There we go.
So when we see on these maps we're going to get to here in a bit, an indication of like a southeast indication like this, a triangle, does that indicate that the cell phone is hitting off a tower that's in the direction of that arrow?
Essentially, yes. It's within that sector. The cell phone is within that area of where the cell phone or cell site can reach.
And this is available too for the jury in case they wanted to try to understand the markings a little bit better.
That's correct.
Okay. Page 6. Can you tell us about page 6?
This is just a sample of what each of the following maps will show. On the left-hand side there at the top with the Google map is an activated sector for a certain cell phone site. Again, if the sector is activated, it will show up with this colored arc for that sector on that tower. And then on the right-hand side, you have a cell site location information box. Basically, it is one of the events within the cell or within the return. And that Excel spreadsheet I talked about earlier, it's going to have the cell site number, which is at the top of the box there, number 1, and then basically all your details of the event that it was recorded, whether it be text, data, voice, and then also if it's a voice call, it will document what phone number it called, if it's outgoing or incoming.
Okay, so when we look at these maps here, this gives us a legend or a table of contents of sorts, so we can look back and say, okay, here's a marking, this is the date, time, this is what's going on.
That's correct.
Okay. We can go to page 7 then. What are we looking at here?
So this is timing advance. Essentially, this is a feature within 4G and 5G cell phones that your phone is basically a radio device that communicates with a cell phone that's also a computer. So when your phone communicates with a sector and it's on a 4G or 5G network, depending on the company it it times how far the signal takes to get to the phone and how long it takes to get back. So they are able to determine approximately 160-meter arc on a map where that phone is at within that arc. It doesn't mean the phone is directly out in front of north like in this picture, but the phone is somewhere within that arc.
So, like you said, in this picture, it doesn't necessarily mean that phone is directly in the middle of your triangle there. It could be anywhere in the arc.
Correct.
Okay. All right, we can move on to page 8.
So this is just an overview of T-Mobile's towers, using green for Van Patten. Also, green, I believe, is used with the towers itself are used for Logan Kimpton's. I'm not sure if they switched to black. But this is the overview of all the towers in the metro area that include all the way down to Lily Pond. And this is current as of January 2024. If you look up at the right-hand corner where it says legend, each of those boxes are relevant addresses. Most notably, if you go from top to bottom, the Hoffman residence on South 12th Street, and then 1440 Meadowview, which is very close. It's only about 2 blocks away in our jurisdiction. Then the blue eye is at the intersection of Edgewood and Highway 100. And then Morgan Creek is the red box, and then blue is Lily Pond down at the lower left corner by Amana.
So does this give us then an easy way to identify some of the key locations that we've heard about in this case by color code, the eye, the little home symbol
Yes.
there for Melody's home? Okay, we'll go on to page 9.
These are all the Verizon towers as of February 2024. Again, this is Defendant Louisma's carrier. Most notably, there's a lot more towers centralized in the Cedar Rapids area, and also down near Amana, there's a few more.
So what we had just seen before with the green was the T-Mobile towers that were relevant to tracking the location of Logan Kimpton and Dakota Van Patten's phone. Now these are the cell phone towers that are going to be tracking the location of McKinley Louisma's phone.
That's correct.
Okay, we'll go on to page 10. And what are we looking at here?
So, U.S. Cellular towers from February 2024. Again, purple is indicating this is Melody's phone. There's, again, a central location of towers downtown Cedar Rapids, and generally if there's more towers, it's because there's more data required on the carriers.
And you said this was U.S. Cellular?
That's correct.
Okay, all right, we'll go on to page 11.
Page 11 is our first look at Defendant Louisma's phone records from the evening of the 17th at approximately 6:24 up until midnight that night. They're only showing this one call. If you look at the call box there, it's an outgoing call at 6:24 p.m. This sector is showing the general area, or pointing towards the general area of the St. Luke's Hospital downtown.
So we had heard some testimony earlier in this case that Nakia Sloboda was down at St. Luke's Hospital for some complications, and that Mr. Louisma was down there for a time as well. So would this then, based upon your investigation, here be consistent with his location at that time?
That's correct.
Okay. And that number, is that a number that he would have called, or that the user would have called from that phone?
The number on the far left would be the defendant's, and then the far right number is the phone number that was called.
Did that phone number have any relevance in this investigation?
Yes.
Okay.
Nakia Sloboda's phone number.
Okay. So that shows that he's calling Nakia Sloboda from that location.
That's correct.
Okay. Move on to page 12 here and tell us what we're looking at on page 12.
So on this one, it is from the morning of the 18th at midnight until 3 a.m. On the first call box, which is clear down on Highway 13, there's 2 data sessions that occur.
I'm sorry, if you don't mind using your laser pointer so we kind of know what you're
know,
talking about and when, that would be super helpful. Thanks.
So this box right here.
Okay, good. So we're on 1. All right.
So there's 2 data sessions that occur at 1:18 a.m. and they're both at the same time, and they last until 7:18 a.m. 30 seconds and 45 seconds respectively. It's a data session. I can't testify to what the phone was doing, but it was connected to the tower between those times.
To connect to a tower, would a phone need to be accessing something outside of the internal functions of the phone?
Not necessarily. Programs within your phone constantly talk to cell phone towers. You're constantly getting updates from social media. Your applications sometimes update automatically. Or if you're streaming items, there's items in a phone that's in the background you don't see that uses tower connections.
Yeah. So we know what we're talking about here. This box number 1 here, where does that correlate to as a position on the map? Can you show us with your laser pointer?
It is up here in Marion.
Okay. So that shows that around 1:18 and 45 seconds a.m. that McKinley Louisma's cell phone was sitting off a cell phone tower up here in this area in Marion.
Yes.
Okay. And is that, are there any of our key locations in the legend that are close to that?
Yes, it'd be the Hoffman residence.
And then the other address of 1440 Meadowview Drive, Marion, do you remember why that's a key location that's marked?
When Megan came in the morning of Melody to report Melody missing, she provided Life 360 screenshots of where Melody's phone was located, and there's a brief period of time where the phone, Melody's phone shows that she's at that address, approximately around that time.
So when these events are being identified, you testified earlier that it involved some function in the phone accessing the cell phone tower for some kind of reason.
For information.
Does that necessarily mean that everything that's done with the phone is going to pick up in the cell phone tower?
No.
It was just something inside the phone needed a cell phone tower in order to operate.
That's correct.
Like you said, the automatic updates, things like that.
Yeah, anything in the background or when a user's actively using a phone, it could be picked up with the cell service.
If you're making a call or something, we might get that, though, because that might pop up in the data, right?
That's correct. Also, I should note that depending on the carrier, it depends on what information is saved. I know that Verizon keeps voice and data only when they keep their records.
By voice, you mean a phone call?
A phone call, yes.
And by data, you mean some use that would...
Some use by an application, internet, whatever it is.
Okay. Then we think of data, we think we used to pay for data on our phone, but now we have these plans that are all data.
Correct.
But we used to have, when we were talking about data, we used to not necessarily have access to use, let's say, the internet just anywhere, right?
Right.
Okay. But you could you still use things like your timer on your phone, your camera, things like that, and that wouldn't necessarily appear?
That's correct.
Let's go to the number 2 entry here.
Number 2 entry, the box is just to the right, about the bottom of the page, and then this is the sector that's activated. That is pointing along Highway 151 towards the Walford and Fairfax area.
Okay. Now that's picking up on a tower at about 3:04 a.m.
3 o'clock and 3 seconds, that's correct, to 3:04.
I'm sorry, yes, okay. Now we just saw some testimony here and some video surveillance that showed that McKinley Louisma's vehicle was moving past, Edgewood Road all the way up to the north side of town around that time. So how would this cell phone tower hit be consistent with that?
Depending on where they're at within, if we had a picture further south, the phone would have been communicating with that tower as they're traveling north.
Could you point out Edgewood Road for us?
It is right here.
Okay. So that phone is still communicating with that tower in the Edgewood Road area around 3 o'clock a.m.
That's correct.
Okay. And are those the only two entries then for this page?
For this page, that's correct.
Okay. And this would just indicate then again when a cell phone tower picks up that activity we talked about.
Yes.
Okay, move on to page 13.
Could you, number 1, I believe, is going to be our last number 2. Yes, it is. And this is just indicating that the number 2 cell site activated and data information is up here. And this is in the general vicinity of Bentley Drive and the direction of Linn-Mar High School, just to the north of the map. This call or data session occurred between 3:40:37 a.m. and 3:44:37 a.m.
And based upon your investigation in this case, was there any person of note who would live up in that Bentley area, Bentley Drive area?
Taya Meyer and Brandon Monson.
Is this location tower information consistent with your investigation where Dakota Van Patten had indicated to Taya Meyer that he was dropped off by Mr. Louisma at her residence on or about that time?
That'd be correct.
Move on to page 14. And let's start with, again, with 1. I don't know if you can see it or not on the big screen, but.
Number 1 is, there we go.
Oh yeah, if you need us to zoom, that'd be great, yeah.
It appears number 1 is documenting our last number 2 again. So pointing back towards the direction of Taya Myers and Brandon Monson's residence. Then number 2, which is to the northwest of number 1 right here, that sector that's activated is pointed in the direction of Hummingbird Lane. All the events that were recorded appear to be data from approximately 4:19 a.m. to 7:53 a.m.
All those events are taking place in the area of Hummingbird Lane, approximately where Mr. Louisma resided at the time.
That's correct.
Okay, anything else on this exhibit?
Not
Or
on
at
this
this
page.
page of this
Not on this
exhibit?
page.
Okay. Now we're on page 15, so we're looking at green now, and that is Dakota Van Patten's phone.
That's correct. So again, we have multiple cell phone location records. Number 1 is directly south of Melody's residence. The sector is activated in that general direction, or within that general direction at 11:29, which is close to when Melody was picked up that evening. If you go across the page to number 2 right here, there's a data session at 11:45 and 12:05, and the sector that's activated is down in this corner, again pointing towards direction of Morgan Creek. If you scroll up slightly or zoom out, number 3 is just below sector 2 down in this location. And again, we have a data session at 12:22:50 a.m. Number 4 is back in the direction of Marion, and that is right here. That sector is pointing back towards the Hoffman residence while they're traveling back to Marion, which incorporates the Life 360 screenshots that we were provided. And those 2 data sessions were at 12:54 and 12:55 respectively.
Okay, so this page here, page 15 of the exhibit, then shows that Dakota Van Patten's cell phone is indicating activity first in the area of Melody Hoffman's house.
Correct. You're right here.
And then in the area of Morgan Creek.
Yep, down this
Park.
location.
And then again, staying in the Morgan Creek Park area, at least to the point of activity indicated around 12:22 a.m.
That's correct.
And then moving at that point in time to where the next indication activity is in that area of Marion there, closer to her house, and is that also kind of closer to the Meadowview address?
This actual tower is on Blair's Ferry Road, if anyone is familiar with the area, and the come and go at that intersection. Wilbert Vaults, if anyone's familiar with that location, there's a tower right there, and I believe that is the tower that it's pinging off of.
Now, these cell phone towers, do they always work in a way where you're going to necessarily ping off the closest tower?
No, your phone looks for the first connection it can get. It doesn't matter if you're the closest or the furthest away. If your phone is able to start communicating with the tower, it will stay communicating with the tower until no longer needs to.
So you may be closer in physical distance to one tower, but if your phone in its own way just pops off another tower, that's the one it's going to connect to.
Correct.
Okay, moving on to page 16.
Number one is, where's my laser? This call box right here. Again, we have a data session at 1:29 in the morning. The sector is pointing back towards Highway 100 and actually along Edgewood Road. If you follow the road that goes up that way, that is Edgewood Road. Number two, if we look all the way on the south side of town across from the East Iowa Airport, there's this sector that's activated pointing towards the Walford area. And this is a good demonstration or example of why, or of phone connecting to a further tower away than where the phone is actually at. It's connected at 145 and 147. And then number three in the lower left-hand corner is at 145 as well, but it's down near Walford, pointing towards the 151 direction.
Does this page show a path of travel of this cell phone consistent with what we previously saw on the past page? Meadowview Drive, and then proceeding to the Highway 100 Edgewood Road area, going south on 151.
That's correct.
Through Walford.
Yes.
Okay. Now we'll go to page 17. And what do we see in page 17 here? Again, are you still on Dakota Van Patten's phone?
We are still on Van Patten's phone. Number one here is the same tower we just looked at on number three, facing Walford. There is a data session at 2:05 in the morning. And then also number two, to the left of Highway 151, just northwest of Lily Pond, there's three data sessions between 2:22 a.m. and 2:30 a.m.
And so does this show Dakota Van Patten's phone then continuing to move south on 151 down towards the Lily Pond area and arriving, at least the first data session indicates, around 2:22?
That'd be correct.
Okay, moving on to page 18. And are we still on Dakota Van Patten's phone?
We are still on Dakota Van Patten's phone. This time frame is from 2:45 till 3:30. Number one is at 2:50 in the morning over here. The tower or sector that's activated is along Highway 30, pointing back towards the Walford and Lily Pond area. Number two is that same tower again. We've seen a couple times pop up at 2:53. And then the general direction, as the arrow shows, going back towards the Marion area. And right here is your number three activation, pointing towards Blair's Ferry to the west and Highway 100, and that's at 3:13 in the morning.
So this page may be a good example of how a cell phone wouldn't necessarily hit off the closest tower.
Yes, I would say so, with especially with number one.
Because number one, the hit's at 250. Number two, the ping is at 253. So could that indicate just the cell phone picking up whatever tower was close?
Whatever tower the phone connected with first.
And to be fair, could it also indicate maybe stopping and going back for a moment too?
Could.
We just don't know that for sure.
That's correct.
But generally, was the phone moving in that north-east area back and through Cedar Rapids, where ultimately the next data event was up there off of, is that Blairsbury Road, that area up there?
Blair's Ferry is right here, actually, along this, sorry, got a little bouncy pen.
We just saw some surveillance from a Quick Star at 1001 Blair's Ferry Road. Are you familiar with that Quick Star?
I am.
Okay. And in that surveillance, the times were around that 3 o'clock hour in this general vicinity. So is that consistent with hitting pinging off a tower in the area where that Quick Star is?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we move on to page 19.
Council, this is actually going to be our time that we're going to take our afternoon break.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and be in recess for about 15 minutes. Jurors, please remember the admonition, and we'll see you back here shortly. You can all be seated. All right, we're back on the record in FECR 153477. Sergeant Peterson, you're still under oath, and Mr. Maybanks, you can continue your direct examination. Can we dim the lights?
Okay, Sergeant Peterson, I think we were in the midst of, or maybe, I think we were just beginning to discuss maybe page 18, is that right? Or have we done it yet?
We finished.
Okay, well then we'll move on to page 19. And so that was it for now, for the records, cell phone tower records of Dakota Van Patten, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so now, if I recall right, our purple phone here is the phone of Melody Hoffmanin, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, so let's just continue here to do the same thing we've been doing, and start, if we would, and utilize your laser pointer for us with the first entry and kind of go from there. So tell us about number one.
You'll notice a difference in the sectors that are activated. It has the real-time data arcs in them, so the phone falls in within those arcs. Like I said, depending on the service carrier and the data that is saved, the provider will give you this distance that's calculated by the real-time data. Drawing our attention to number one in the upper right, or kind of the center here, it shows that there's 24 events between 11:01 p.m. and 11:29 p.m. on the 17th. Looks like there's at least 5 outgoing text messages and 5 incoming text messages from that time frame. Each of those arcs, again, show where that phone would have been in one of those events. If we go over to number 2, which is...
Hang on a second, just so
Yes.
we can understand. And you may have mentioned, I apologize, but within that arc there, is that Melody Hoffman's residence?
Yes, it is.
And so, just asking a couple of questions about number one there. These events appear to go to the last one being 11:29 p.m., is that right?
That's correct.
And so we previously received some testimony in this case and exhibits involving text message exchange between Megan Hoffman and Melody Hoffman when she left the residence. I think it was 11:24 or so when she was
Approximately.
So would that be consistent with those messages?
It would be.
And if there were any other messages, and those messages would be deleted from the phone, we just wouldn't know, right?
Correct.
All right, so you can go ahead and move to number 2 now.
Number 2 is on the upper left-hand corner of the page. The tower appears to be in the Cedar Rapids area. That arc is intersecting Highway 100 there, right here, and then also Edgewood Road. The time for this event, it doesn't say whether it's data or a call, just that this event was logged at 11:37 and 59 seconds p.m.
Okay, so this data event then at 11:37 in this arc, does that indicate a movement then to the west from Melody Hoffman's residence along perhaps Highway 100 there?
That's correct.
And this kind of I don't know if this is the first time, but we see the eye in the box there where her phone was ultimately found, right?
Correct.
So that's an indication of potentially later in the night where her phone was found.
That's correct.
Is the Highway 100, based on your knowledge of this area, a route that it could easily be taken to the Morgan Creek area?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and go on to number 3 then?
Morgan Creek, if you follow Edgewood Road south and then west along E Avenue, or the other route that could be taken is Highway 100 around to the edge and to Morgan Creek.
And so what do we see happening here at number 3?
Number 3 indicates there's 15 different events that occur from 11:44 p.m. to 11:58 p.m. The majority of the events, those arcs land within Morgan Creek, where in that parking lot where the Life 360 location from Megan that was provided, it falls within that area.
And does that, the 15 events, does that include the incoming and outgoing text messages?
I can't say one way or another. I believe so. It'd be 5 and 5 and then another 5 events.
So 5 data events of the type that we discussed earlier where we can't necessarily be sure what's happened with the phone, but then some text messages.
Correct.
Okay. And if those text messages weren't deleted from the phone, you would assume that those would be accessible from it.
That'd be correct.
All right, I think that's it for page 19, so we can move on to page 20 here. And are we still looking at Melody Hoffman's phone in the purple?
We are still looking at her phone. This is from 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. Again, we're starting back down at Morgan Creek in this area. Both of those sectors are activated along with another tower facing in that direction. I'll just note that for these sectors as well, as you can see up in number 3 here, that arc is way outside the line of the activated sector. So when you're looking at the sector, just kind of visualize those lines going out even further than what the map shows. The phone's within that distance, and number 3 is a good demonstration of that, or a display of the phone's within that sector, but it's further away than those lines. Going back to number 2, or actually number 1 here, these events occurred from 12:03 to 12:33 on the morning of the 18th, and it just says 13 events and 2 network signaling events. And if we jump to number 2, down here, there's no indication of what those events were, but however, the phone communicated with that tower and provided that real-time data between 12:13 and 12:20 a.m. on the 18th.
Now, is this area here where number 1 is seen on this page? We've all already discussed that Morgan Creek Park is in that area, but are you familiar with Cherry Hill Park?
I am.
Is that also located in the vicinity of number 1 and number 2?
Cherry Hill Park is actually this little green square down here.
And so explain to us again here, just in case maybe somebody doesn't get it, but these arcs of different shape, is that where the phone actually is, or is the phone anywhere in between the corner of the triangle and those arcs?
It is. The phone is in the arc itself. It could be anywhere. So using number 3 as a clean example, anywhere from the top to the bottom of that arc, the phone is within that area.
Okay, all right. And so does the same apply to 1 and 2 where we see the arcs?
That's correct.
The events? Okay. All right. Did we talk about number 2 yet?
Briefly.
Okay. And And so does number two show then events beginning at 12:13 and then another event at 12:20?
That's correct.
Okay. So moving from number two then, where do we see cell phone tower location activity again?
The third event that was recorded, or third cell site location event, is up here along Edgewood Road and Highway 100 with that sector, or with that activated sector, and then the real-time data. Again, the phone would be within that arc. I would note that it would either be Edgewood Road or Highway 100. That's where the phone would be located. And the time of that is at 12:41.
So does this indicate that Melody Hoffman's phone is then moving first generally north and then east from Morgan Creek and Cherry Hill along either Highway 100 or Edgewood Road?
That's correct.
Okay, so what do we see next in number four?
Number four, back to Hoffman residence and the Meadowview area. This is documented at 12:49 to 12:59 in the area. Again, multiple sectors are activated within this tower location. Most notably, I would say to the right, on the right-hand side, where 1440 Meadowview is, and then also leading back north into town on South 15th Street or East Post Road.
Okay, so from 12, my eyes are giving out, 12:49 to 12:59 a.m., we've got events that are occurring in the area of Meadowview Drive and Melody Hoffman's residence.
That's correct.
And in this investigation, again, is the Meadowview Drive area consistent with where information and investigation shows that Melody's phone was located when Megan Hoffman was talking with her Snapchat account?
Yes.
All right, we move on to page 21. And we could start with number one again.
Number one is back at the Hoffman residence down here along Highway 100. It appears that this number one data session, or I would say information session, was between 1:01 and 1:17 a.m. Again, those activated sectors are towards Meadowview and then also along South 15th or South 11th and East Post Road. East Post turns into South 11th and Marion at Grand Avenue.
Does number one show Melody Hoffman's phone still in the area where we kind of left off in the last page near Meadowview and also near her residence?
Yes.
Where is Hannah Park in relation to this?
Hannah Park, if you could actually zoom in on the left-hand side of number one, it's right in this general area.
Could you show us again?
Oh, sorry. It's this general area back in here.
So at that point in time, Melody Hoffman's phone is not very far from Hannah Park.
No.
Okay. It looks like on number one, the last event was at 1:17 a.m.
If you could zoom out, I could confirm. That's correct.
Okay. And in this investigation, did you uncover evidence that Melody Hoffman's Life 360 app location was turned off at approximately 1:17 a.m.?
That's correct.
But if an app is accessed for that purpose and a location is turned off, that doesn't affect the cell phone tower.
No, it does not.
You can still pick up the cell phone tower
That's correct.
location. Okay. Moving on to number two.
Number two is downtown Marion area, and I believe actually this is connected to our Fire Station 3. There's a large tower there with multiple cell site radio frequency antenna attached to it. This just shows that it appears that they moved north to the center of town of Marion, and then it would indicate that they move to the west after moving or traveling northbound into the center of town. And the timestamps that were documented with this information was from 1:17 to 1:21.
Does this area here at number two, do these loops, loops indicate intersection and all along a certain street or thoroughfare, if you understand my question that I didn't do well on there.
Yes, so this, all three of the activated sectors incorporate 7th Avenue or Marion Boulevard. On the southern portion of number 2, it also incorporate South 11th Street and turns into 11th Street at First Avenue. South 11th Street actually now dead ends into our Uptown Square.
Is that consistent with the path of travel then through the center of Marion there and then on to 151?
Onto Highway 100 after that, yes.
Yes, okay. On to number 3 then.
Number 3, again, you have 2 arcs, 2 events, nothing specified within the return, but they're at 125 and 126, presumably moving west towards the tower.
Does the location information in arc number 3 indicate a path of travel consistent with Melody's phone moving along Highway 100?
At that point, the Life 360 had been shut off. But yes, to answer your question, yes, it would be consistent of moving along that way.
So moving on to arc number 4 then, what do we see there?
The sector that's activated is pointing towards Edgewood Road again. Again, that arc incorporates Edgewood Road. The phone would be within that arc, which Edgewood falls in that area. And that was at 1:30 in the morning. So we're approximately 4 minutes away from cell site location 3.
Does the arc in number 4 indicate a path of travel of Melody Hoffman's phone then south on Edgewood Road?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to page 22. This is this particular area on page 22 looks like it's focused out quite a bit more.
Yes, this is a zoomed out view of the metro area. Number 1, which is, it's close to the Edgewood Road, it appears. I would indicate that the river runs through here, then Edgewood, there's a bridge in that general area. So number 1, there are time events from 1:30 to 1:32. And then number 2, again, is pointing towards the south along Highway 151. And I believe Edgewood Road actually intersects in that general area where that sector is activated. That time is at 1:39, again indicating that they're traveling south with the time difference. Number 3 is at 2:04 in the Walford area. The arc is, again, incorporating Highway 151 and another approximately 5 minutes away from our last activation from the last cell site. And then lastly, number 4 is from 2:06 to 2:35. And there's a total of 18 different events that are logged, and along with 2 network signaling events. If you look on the right-hand side of this page, this is a blown-up view of number 4 down here. The majority of the events are occurring within that band of Lily Pond and Highway 151, either returning or going to the area.
Now, in reference to arc number 4, that's blown up on the right side of page 22 of this exhibit, is there any way to tell what time an event is happening in any of these looped arcs? I don't know what to call them. Let's call them loops, I guess.
Each arch is an event. When the analysis is completed with the program, each arch would have been entered individually. This is just a composite of each one. Those could be separated out into each location for those each individual arches that are displayed.
So, for example, hypothetically speaking, if Melody Hoffman's phone is moving into the area of Lily Pond that's shown here, right?
Yes.
And then moving back out, these loops could represent an event either on the way in or the way out. We don't know for sure.
Correct. If there was a time lapse of each of those events, it would indicate what an in and out, what time those arches were recorded.
But in any event, there's events that start on her phone at 2:06 a.m. within ARC 4, and then last one is 2:35.
That's correct.
Move on to page 23. With respect to page 23, then, it looks like ARC 1 refers to 2:35 a.m., so you can just tell us what's going on there.
Correct. It's at 2:35 a.m., and as you'll see, the arch is way out by 151, incorporating traveling past Amana. And then number 2 is at 246 to 250. And again, like we just discussed, if we took these individual arches and did a time lapse, they would show each location as they traveled northbound, getting closer to the tower. And then number 3 is back up, pointing towards the intersection where the river goes by and Edgewood Road. Again, that arc incorporates Edgewood Road across approximately where the bridge is at. Lastly, number 4, this is a larger time span from 3:10 in the morning till 5 o'clock in the morning. There's a variety of different events that occur. You can see there's 29 network signalings, 72 other, looks like events, 1 outgoing call, 20 incoming calls, 7 incoming text messages, and 7 outgoing text messages. If you look to the right here on the screen, number 4, those arcs that have the real-time data also incorporate where Melody's phone was found on Highway 100 in Edgewood on the off-ramp from Edgewood Road.
So as we look at ARC number 4, a couple of questions. First, I guess an obvious one, is this also in the same area where we see in the legend the blue square with the eye inside of it?
Yes.
And that's indication of where Melody Hoffman's phone was ultimately found by Megan Hoffman.
That's correct.
And these number of events here in ARC 4, beginning at approximately 3:10 a.m., is that consistent with other information in this investigation, like the crash detect
Yes.
message that was sent?
Yes.
Right? The incoming call to the phone by 911?
Yes.
And then testimony that after her phone was in that area, there were several calls and texts made to her.
That's correct.
Okay, page 24.
So this is Logan Kimpton's cell phone record or cell site information. This is earlier on the 17th between 8:53 p.m. and 9:03. As you can see, there's 2 main towers that have been activated with multiple calls and texts within cell site 1, pointing in this general direction, and cell site 2. There's, looks like, it doesn't say specifically what the event was besides signaling. I can't testify to what signaling means by T-Mobile, but again, it's providing that real-time data using the phone's location and timing the time the signal takes to get to the tower and back. So the phone is within that, somewhere within that arch on all those calls.
Are you familiar with the areas inside ARCs 1 and 2 here that indicate cell phone tower location activity for Logan Kimpton?
Yes.
And based on your investigation, is there any person that lives in that area connected to this investigation?
Shantae McMurrin and Sean McMurrin live in that area.
And so based on you said you interviewed her earlier, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And is this the area where Shantae McMurrin lives?
Yes.
So is this consistent with Logan Kimpton being in the vicinity of Shantae McMurrin's house at least?
That's correct.
Okay, moving on to page 25. You can go ahead and start with 1 again.
Number 1, let's see, the cell site information box is over here, but however, tower number 1 is in the center of the map here, and it appears there's at least one activation of the sector pointing towards the 380 area or Hiawatha. And that is, this time frame is at 11:25 p.m. and 11:25:15 and 11:25:25. So within a 10-second time period, there's multiple signals going out. And after that, this is another good demonstration of a phone picking up on different towers and not moving anywhere. Number 2, if you go to 11:25, it's got multiple events there, and the arches start in this general area, again intersecting where Hummingbird Lane is at in Hiawatha. 3 is the same thing. It's just an arch further out as you, let's see, be this line right here. And that's at 11:25 as well. And number 4, even further south of the river, that sector is activated, and this large arch incorporates that general area as well. And number 5, which is the top right box up here, was at 11:26. So within a little over a minute, there's all these events, but there's multiple towers picking up Mr. Kimpton's phone during that time frame.
On this page, a lot of these arcs here from either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have these loops that intersect in kind of the same general area. You see that?
That's correct.
And based upon your investigation, your knowledge of that area, what's in that area?
Hummingbird Lane, 1406 or 4006 Hummingbird Lane.
Is this consistent with basically showing that Logan Kimpton remained in that area around 11:30 area, just doing a lot of stuff on his phone, or his phone's doing a lot of stuff?
Correct. He's in that general area for that time frame.
And that's where he lived at this time?
That's correct.
Okay. Moving on to page 26. What do we see in page 26?
This is just a single activation, or actually there's 2 events that occur here at 2:01 in the morning and 2:51, and they are both within that range, and Hummingbird Lane is actually right over in this general area.
Okay, moving on to page 27. And is this the end of the report?
It is.
Okay. Great. All right, we'll be back on the monitor here in a sec, but I wanted to ask you a few questions. I want to discuss an item of property that was recovered in this case. The paracord, or the rope that was recovered from McKinley Louisma's, the trunk of his vehicle. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
And there's been some testimony about that already in this case. Did you have an opportunity to examine that rope?
I viewed it after it was discovered in the car, and then it was sent to the DCI lab to be tested for, I believe, DNA, and then also measure the rope.
Was that rope one of the first things to be sent to be tested?
Yes, it was.
And after that rope was sent to the DCI lab to be tested, was it retrieved and brought back to the Marion Police Department for some further examination?
It was.
Did you become privy to the results of the DNA testing on that rope?
I believe I have the report.
And have you reviewed that report?
I have in the past.
Okay. And just generally, was that rope then confirmed to have the DNA of Melody Hoffmanin on it?
It did.
Through your investigation in this case, then having the rope that was recovered from McKinley Louisma's, the trunk of his car, and then the DNA results that showed that Melody Hoffman's DNA was on the rope, did you perform some more examination of it?
Of that rope, no.
Okay. What kind of examination did you conduct?
There was another rope that was recovered from Defendant Van Patten's residence. We ended up measuring that rope itself to see how long that rope was compared to the rope that was found in the trunk of the defendant's car.
Okay, all right. And what kind of examination did you do with that?
We measured it
Okay, all right. Why'd you do that?
to see how long the total length of the rope would be.
I'd like to present to the witness States Exhibit 17B through 17N. Is that up there?
Yes, it
Sergeant
is.
Pearson?
Yes.
Okay, and we're flipping through it right now. Do you recognize 17B through 17N?
I do.
And what is contained in the pictures in 17B and 17N?
It's the rope that was recovered from Defendant Van Patten's residence.
Is that fair and accurate copy of, or depiction of that rope?
Yes.
Move to enter States Exhibit 17B through 17N.
Any objection to Exhibit 17B through 17N?
No objection.
Exhibit 17B through 17N are admitted.
Permission to publish when the court's able to do that, Your Honor.
Publishing now.
Okay, Sergeant Peterson, we'll just go through these exhibits here. What do we see in States Exhibit 17B?
This is the rope that was recovered at Defendant Van Patten's residence, along with the evidence bag that it was in.
All right, 17C, what are we looking at here?
We're looking at one end of the paracord, or the rope, of that same rope that was in the previous exhibit.
And then 17D.
It's just a close-up of the same end.
Why did you take a picture of this?
To show how the rope was cut and if it would be comparable to the other ends of the rope that were recovered out of the defendant's vehicle.
Okay. 17E, what are we seeing here?
It's just another close-up picture, but directly at the end of the rope from the previous picture.
And then 17F, what's that?
Just another angle of the rope.
And what are we looking at in 17G?
This is the other end of the rope where it's likely the manufacturer's cut off where it was melted.
So this is the natural end of that rope that that you recovered from Dakota Van Patten's residence.
Yes,
So what you saw here is that the rope had been cut off
correct.
at some point in time. All right. So 17, let's go to 17H. What do we see there?
It's the comparison of both ends of the rope.
And what are you intending to depict in this photograph?
The picture on the rope on the top side of the picture appears to be cut with something else. And then the bottom one appears to be seared off.
17I, what are we looking at here?
Us starting to measure the end of the rope using, I would call the manufactured end.
So this is where you started your measurement then at the natural kind of seared off end of the rope.
Correct.
Right. And 17J, what's that?
A better location of the zeroing of the location of the start of the rope.
Great. And then 17K, what are we looking at there?
This is at the police department. We stretched out the rope using a measuring tape. We just left it rest there. We didn't pull it tight for this picture.
Okay. 17L.
It includes the entire rope.
So this shows the measuring tape then laid against the entirety of the rope that was recovered in the basement of Dakota Van Patten's residence.
That's correct.
Okay. 17M. What do we see here?
That is the frayed end of the rope at approximately 36 feet and 1 inch.
So as a result of your investigation here, did you find that the length of the rope that was recovered in Dakota Van Patten's basement was 36 feet, approximately 1 inch?
Yes.
And who did examination of the rope that was recovered in trunk of McKinley Louisma's vehicle and sent to the DCI and sent back?
That would have been the DCI laboratory.
At this point in time, are you privy to the measurements they made of that?
Yes.
Okay. What did they find to be the measurement of that rope?
There's two sections of it. One was, I believe, 14 and a quarter inch, and the other one was 97 and a half inches.
14 and a quarter, and what was the other one?
97 and a half.
So we have sections 14 and a half inches and 97 and a half inches for the paracord that was recovered in McKinley Louisma's trunk, and then 36 inches, 36 feet 1 inch.
Correct.
For the rope that you measured that was recovered in Dakota Van Patten's basement.
That's correct.
All right. What was the purpose of this endeavor?
I was off duty, and I noticed at Menards that there was a similar rope in a rope bin. Just walked by, and I noticed that the packaging stated that the rope was the same color, same diameter, and it was 50 feet long.
And so when you realized that there was one for sale at Menards that was pretty much identical to this for 50 feet long, what were you thinking in terms of what you might be able to show here?
That this is the same type of rope that was used to murder Melody.
I want to present to you States Exhibits 17T and 17U, which have not been admitted into evidence yet. Oh, do we have one more? I'm sorry, we have one more, I think. Let's do 17N first.
This is just a close-up of the final measurement.
Great. Okay, now we'd like to present to you States Exhibits 17T and 17U. You see that?
Not yet. Now I do.
Okay. There's T and there's U. You see that?
I do.
Okay. What's depicted in States Exhibits 17T and 17U?
17T is a picture of the rope in the bin at Menards, and then 17U is the backside of the rope that includes the SKU number or the barcode on the back of it.
Was there another section of rope that was observed and noted in this case that was not collected as evidence at Dakota Van Patten's residence?
There was.
What was that?
It was the same color rope, but used as a door handle that did not have a doorknob inside the door.
And I believe we have a picture that's already in evidence of that. It states exhibit number 13S. Just 1 second. Can you see that?
Okay.
Can we display that again, Your Honor? Is this the other section of rope that you observed that was noted and observed at Dakota Van Patten's residence as acting as sort of a makeshift door handle?
Yes.
And I think there was testimony earlier, this is actually the front door of the residence, is that right?
I can't recall.
So overall, Sergeant Peterson, how did the measurement of the rope that was obtained from the trunk of McKinley Louisma's vehicle and the rope found in the basement of Dakota Van Patten's residence compare to the rope you found at Menards?
Those two ropes or the three rope sections were consistent with the rope I found at Menards.
Just being reminded that I don't think we've actually offered 17T and 17U, so we'd like to offer that into evidence.
Any objection to 17T and 17U?
No, Your Honor.
17T and 17U are admitted.
We'll go ahead and publish those, Your Honor. Okay, does this show in 17T the rope that you found at Menards?
That's correct.
And 17U, what's depicted there?
That is the barcode and the SKU number that's attached to a barcode.
Sergeant Peterson, you were present when McKinley Louisma was interviewed at the Marion Police Department on February 19th, right?
I was.
And although you weren't the lead in that interview, were you paying attention to some of the things that he was talking about?
Yes.
And do you recall, as part of the search warrant executed in the vehicle of McKinley Louisma's vehicle, that a receipt was found in the trunk to Menards?
Yes, there was.
Okay. And do you recall when Mr. Louisma was asked about that receipt?
I don't recall right now.
You don't recall right now?
No.
Did Mr. Louisma, to your recollection, indicate going to Menards at any point in time?
No.
Described. As part of this investigation, we already had Detective Grote testify that Mr. Louisma had been at Walmart on the night of February 18th of 2024, right?
Right.
And as part of this investigation, did you review that information from Walmart?
Yes.
Did you find that Mr. Louisma also had went to Walmart on a previous occasion to that trip with the other two gentlemen?
Yes.
And what other occasion or when?
On February 14th.
And on February 14th of 2024, do you remember what the investigation showed that he purchased at that time?
A machete.
Was there evidence in this case also uncovered that Mr. Louisma went to Walmart and purchased something else on February 18th?
Yes.
And that would, I think it was 17th, I'm sorry, I meant to say 17th. Earlier in the day?
Yes, it was a door lock.
Is that the type of door lock that you can install, like in the door we saw in States Exhibit 13S?
It's possible.
Shifting gears here just for a moment, we got a couple more minutes. Was the defendant's phone also seized in this case and examined?
It was.
And can you tell us just kind of generally how the defendant's phone was seized and examined?
I believe the phone was seized from Nakia when McKinley walked to the police department. He had given up his phone prior to walking in, and the officers that had stopped Nakia, and I believe Patty and Carl, after he got a ride to the police department, they seized the phone at that point.
So Nakia told us about dropping him off and then leaving and getting pulled over or stopped at some time.
Yes.
Was that when the officers made contact with her and just basically said, we're going to need that phone?
That's correct.
So Mr. Louisma had left it with her, but you guys got it.
That's correct.
All right. Can you explain the process of forensics examination that was done with this phone?
Yes. When we seize a phone, there's the option of an airplane mode on your phone. It's either on iPhones you can swipe down and it's one of the first icons on the left-hand side, or like on a Google phone, it's on the top bar. We place the phone in airplane mode so it no longer has communication with any towers, and then we will take that phone to someone that is certified to download the phone, essentially make a digital copy of the phone, including all the background data or metadata.
What's background data and metadata?
It's stuff that you wouldn't see as you're using your app. It would be stuff like logging times that pictures are taken, possible locations, that type of thing.
Internet searches.
Internet searches and browsing history that is on the back end.
Photos.
Photos, yes.
Or information on when photos might be accessed in the phone?
Correct.
So when that information is obtained through the download and the digital copy is made, how is that then gathered and formulated into a readable format?
There's different programs that can analyze all the information. They take all the data and make it into categories that's easy for the user to go through and manipulate the information based on either location, text messages, pictures. There's a variety of different, I'd say, categories that the program does it itself for you, so it's easy to find information you're looking for.
Was that done with McKinley Louisma's phone?
It was.
And were you able to access this digital copy in a readable format and then attempt to identify information that may be relevant to your investigation?
Yes. Officer Jeff Holst with the Cedar Rapids Police Department gave me a partial download, and it was from February 17th to the 19th of this year.
And so as a result of Investigator Holst providing you this digital copy in readable format of information in the phone from February 17th to 19th of 2024, were you able to then to go through and identify some information?
It was.
Did you tag or identify the items of interest that you wanted to take a closer look at?
I did.
And were those items of interest then compiled themselves into a readable format into what's called a tag report?
Yes.
And this phone tag report from the download of cell phones, is that a record that's generated and kept in the regular course of business activity at the Marion Police Department?
It would be.
I just briefly would like to present to the witness State's Exhibit number 17V. You see that?
I can.
Are you familiar with State's Exhibit number 17V?
I am.
What is this?
This is my tag report that I created.
So is this the tag report from Defendant Louisma's phone that was generated through that download process, where you identified the items of interest, created the report, and then put it into a readable format to keep as a record in the regular course of business at Marion Police Department?
Yes.
Move to enter State 17V, Your Honor.
Any objection to 17V?
May I have just a moment? No objection.
Exhibit 17V is admitted.
Your Honor, I could approach, but I think you know what I'm going to approach about.
Looks like it's about that type of day.
Yes.
All right, folks, it's right at 4:30, 4:29. So we're going to go ahead and recess for the day. We'll be back at 9 o'clock tomorrow. Have a good evening. Remember the admonition, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.